Chapter 45-37. Yes. I can't go on like this, I want revenge. Dong Xiaofeng clenched his fists, the decadence between his brows swept away, and he finally regained his fighting spirit. Seeing this, Ji Mingho, young Master Dong, and the others couldn't help but smile at each other. The older generation had a way. In a few words they convinced Dong Xiaofeng. Don't worry. Young Master Dong walked in front of Dong Xiaofeng, patted him hard on the shoulder, and said, Our 10 main families are connected by blood and flesh. Your enemy is our enemy, we will help you. Yes. Isn't it just a Qin Fei Yang? When we grow up, killing him will be as easy as stepping on a dog. Ji Mingho smiled proudly. Domineering. The white-haired old woman looked at this scene with a smile in her eyes. That's right. Although their talent was not as good as the other party, their ambition and fighting spirit could not be lost. Isn't it just a Qin Fei Yang? I'm afraid even your parents wouldn't dare to say such big words. Suddenly, a faint laughter sounded. The white-haired old woman, young Master Dong, and the others were shocked and quickly turned their heads to look in the direction of the sound. But there was not even a shadow in the void in front of them. What's going on? What the hell? The group of people were bewildered. Who's playing tricks? The white-haired old woman realized that something was wrong, and her face suddenly sank as her divine sense rolled out. But, just as she released her divine sense, a figure suddenly appeared in the void that was originally empty. It was a burly man with a scar on his face. Who are you? The group of people immediately stared at Qin Fei Yang in surprise. He could actually hide behind them without anyone noticing. Me? Qin Fei Yang touched his chin, looked at the group of people and said with a smile, I heard you say that when you grow up, killing Qin Fei Yang will be as easy as stepping on a dog. Are you serious? It's none of your business. Do you know who we are? How dare you play tricks to scare us? You're courting death. Ji Mingho snorted coldly. Qin Fei Yang looked at Ji Mingho and shook his head. Even your cousin, Princess Yuxian, wouldn't dare to say such a thing in front of me. You're really borrowing courage from the heavens. Hearing this, Ji Mingho's pupils constricted and his face was filled with bewilderment. He actually mentioned his cousin. Who was this person? Even my cousin doesn't dare to be impudent? Could it be an expert from the imperial capital mountain? However, he was also very familiar with the experts of Imperial Capital Mountain. He had never seen this person before. Are you trying to scare me? Ji Mingho frowned. I hope that after I reveal my true face, you can still maintain this arrogant attitude. Qin Fei Yang smiled faintly. He took out a facial restoring pill and popped it into his mouth. This isn't his real face. The group of people immediately stared at Qin Fei Yang's face. Gradually, a familiar feeling welled up in his heart. Their eyes were filled with doubt. Why did his facial features look more and more similar to Qin Fei Yang's? It couldn't be such a coincidence. The white-haired old woman stared at Qin Fei Yang's face, which was constantly changing, and her heart was already in her throat. It was really too similar. And as his facial features recovered, it became more and more similar. Finally, Qin Fei Yang's true face was completely revealed. Boom! The group of people on the spot were like a bolt from the blue, and their minds rumbled. This face. This pair of eyes. Wasn't it Qin Fei Yang? Why is this happening? How did we meet this person? Why is he in the 8 Immortal Mountain? Why? Looking at Qin Fei Yang standing in front of them, the group of people was in extreme disbelief. How could it be so coincidental? This must be a dream. Ji Mingho rubbed his eyes hard and looked at Qin Fei Yang again. This person was still the same person. The position was still the same. It was not a dream. It was really Qin Fei Yang. In an instant, Ji Mingho was terrified. He actually said such arrogant words in front of Qin Fei Yang himself. With Qin Fei Yang's character, would he let him go? Fear. Despair. It instantly swept through his heart. His whole body couldn't help but tremble. Young Master Dong and the others were not much better. Like frightened chicks, their faces were deathly pale. This is too much of a coincidence. The white-haired old woman also murmured. For a moment, she simply couldn't accept this fact. When leaving Tianyang City, she was worried about this, so she had been persuading young Master Dong. Seeing that young Master Dong didn't listen and insisted on coming to the 8 Immortal Mountain, She couldn't help but have a fluke mentality. The Central Dynasty was so big. How could it be so coincidental to meet Qin Feiyang? Moreover, the battle in the Thousand Devil Valley had just ended, and any normal person would definitely stop for a while. But she never thought that there would be such a coincidence to bump into this terrifying existence as soon as she went out. Qin Feiyang, I will tear you apart to avenge my mother, my family, and my clansmen. Suddenly, a fierce roar sounded. The hatred in Dong Xiaofeng's heart finally overcame the fear in his heart. He activated the profound law and madly pounced towards Qin Feiyang. Dong Xiaofeng, don't. The white-haired old woman quivered and hurriedly shouted. However, how could the current Dong Xiaofeng listen? The moment he attacked Qin Feiyang, he had been completely blinded by hatred. You have guts. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. A person who didn't even master the profound law actually dared to attack him. A person who had mastered the will of the heavenly Tao. This courage was indeed worthy of praise. But it was also very stupid. Because a smart person would never do such an act of an ant trying to shake a tree. Boom! The profound law of death, the 18 levels of hell, was born. Without even activating the will of the heavenly Tao, Dong Xiaofeng's profound law shattered on the spot, and he was instantly blasted away by the terrifying death qi. Blood gushed out of his mouth. His entire body, like a meteorite, smashed into the mountain opposite. Boom! A huge hole was smashed in the mountain. Dong Xiaofeng, young Master Dong, and the others hurriedly turned their heads to look at the mountain opposite, their faces full of worry. What a powerful strength! He had only activated one profound law, and Dong Xiaofeng was unable to fight back. In comparison, the white-haired old woman appeared to be much calmer. While staring at Qin Feiyang, she silently took out the divine sound transmission stone, wanting to call for reinforcements. No need to hide. I allow you to send a message to your city lord. Qin Feiyang looked at the white-haired old woman and smiled faintly. What? The white-haired old woman looked at Qin Feiyang in astonishment. Seeing that she had been discovered by Qin Feiyang, she was extremely nervous at first. But she never expected that the other party would take the initiative to let her send a message for help. What was he trying to do? Looking at the motionless and terrified white-haired old woman, Qin Feiyang said unhappily, I asked you to send a message for help, why don't you dare? How would the white-haired old woman dare to move? Because she thought that Qin Feiyang was playing with her. If she really sent a message for help, she was afraid that he would kill her immediately. Qin Feiyang, you inhumane beast, I swear if I don't kill you, I'm not a human. A roar. Dong Xiaofeng rushed out covered in blood, his face covered in dust. His whole body was full of hostility, as if he was not afraid of Qin Feiyang's strength. Once again, he crazily attacked Qin Feiyang. Inhumane. Compared to the harm that your divine kingdom has done to the Sky Cloud realm, I think that what I'm doing now is already very merciful, Qin Feiyang said faintly. With a wave of his hand, the law of death's ultimate law broke through the air with a boom. Don't kill him. He was just impulsive and lost his mind. Young Master Dong and the others cried out. However, Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Dong Xiaofeng quickly dodged. Ji Mingho roared. Dong Xiaofeng's eyes were red, and there was only Qin Feiyang in his eyes. It was as if he didn't hear Ji Mingho's roar. He was about to die under the law of death's ultimate law. Accompanied by a loud clanging sound, a set of armor suddenly appeared on Dong Xiaofeng's body. The entire body flickered with golden light, exuding a monstrous aura. Sovereign divine weapon? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. It was still an armor. Sure enough, he was worthy of being the son of a direct descendant. At such a young age, he already had a sovereign divine weapon protecting him. If it was in the Sky Cloud realm, it could only be described as extravagant. However, this was just a low-level sovereign divine weapon. A low-level sovereign divine weapon. If Qin Feiyang hadn't comprehended the ultimate law of death, he would still be somewhat afraid. Just like before, when fighting with the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan, the sovereign divine weapon was an invincible existence. But now, not to mention the low level, even if it was a legendary level, he could easily crush it. Boom! The ultimate law of the 7 ultimate laws, dual will of heaven activated. Divine power rolled in all directions. The picturesque eight immortal mountain, accompanied by a series of rumbling sounds, was razed to the ground on the spot. Dong Xiaofeng, Ji Mingho and the others cried out in grief. It was also at this moment. The white-haired old woman could no longer hold back the fear in her heart, and hurriedly activated the sound transmission god stone. Dual wills of the heavenly Tao and the ultimate profundities of the seven ultimate laws. Even if she, Ji Mingho, and the others worked together and used all their skills, they still wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps between Qin Feiyang's teeth. There was no suspense. With a crisp crack, the armor on Dong Xiaofeng's body shattered. This also meant that another sovereign divine weapon was destroyed. This was Qin Feiyang's mentality at this time. A low-level sovereign divine weapon was just a slightly more powerful divine weapon. It didn't have much value at all and was dispensable. As the armor shattered, Dong Xiaofeng's entire body was torn apart on the spot. Blood dyed the sky red. Son of a bitch, don't go too far. Young Master Dong and the others roared. They also activated their ultimate laws and attacked Qin Feiyang crazily. You still have the courage to resist. It seems that you are still different from the ordinary playboys. At least, your guts are still there. Qin Feiyang nodded approvingly. But the reality was so cruel. Guts alone wasn't enough. They also needed powerful strength to rely on. This group of nobles in front of him obviously didn't have such strength. However, if they were given enough time, they would definitely have great achievements in the future. With a wave of his hand, an ultimate profundity of the laws of destruction appeared and crushed out with devastating force. However, it did not kill the group of people. Instead, it paused in the air above the group of people. Puff! The oppressive force of the ultimate law firmly imprisoned the group of people, causing blood to gush out of their mouths. Chapter 45-38. Qin Feiyang did not kill Dong Xiaofeng and kept his divine spirit. However, even though Dong Xiaofeng was only left with his divine spirit, he was still extremely crazy and desperately pounced on Qin Feiyang. Hatred is really something that scares people. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He suppressed Dong Xiaofeng and said indifferently, "The death of your clansmen has nothing to do with me." Nothing to do with you? Are you kidding me? Everyone knows that you bathed Tianqian City in blood. Why? You dare to do it but don't dare to admit it? Dong Xiaofeng roared hysterically. Qin Feiyang frowned. What was there to explain to this person? So what if he really bathed Tianqian City in blood? Buzz. This time, the voice transmission stone in the white-haired old woman's hand finally reacted. A middle-aged fatso wearing a golden coat with a round body appeared. This person was Dong Jinxiang, the city lord of Tianyang City, the patriarch of the 9th lineage family. Like Dong Liming, he was also a will of heaven expert. What are you doing? Don't you know that I'm assisting His Majesty in tracking the whereabouts of Qin Feiyang and the others? Dong Jinxiang looked at the white-haired old woman and reprimanded angrily. Tracking my whereabouts? It's been hard on you. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Who's talking? Dong Jinxiang was shocked. The white-haired old woman smiled bitterly and looked at Dong Jinxiang. Patriarch, Qin Feiyang is standing in front of me. What? Dong Jinxiang's expression changed greatly. The white-haired old woman turned the voice transmission stone and faced Qin Feiyang and the imprisoned Dong Xiaofeng and the others. Qin Feiyang. It's really you. Dong Jinxiang roared, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Father, save me. Young Master Dong's cry also sounded. Dong Jinxiang was stunned. Wasn't this his son's voice? He quickly looked in the direction of the voice. When he saw young Master Dong and the others imprisoned not far away, his expression changed. What's going on? Why did these little fellows fall into the hands of Qin Feiyang? Dong Tianfang, what are you doing? Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on this unfilial son? Why did you let him leave Tianyang City? When he regained his senses, Dong Jinxiang couldn't help but let out a roar. His anger overflowing to the heavens. Patriarch, I tried to stop the young city lord, but he wouldn't listen. What can I do? The white-haired old woman had a bitter expression. If not for protecting young Master Dong, she would not have wanted to leave the city at all. This was because Heavenly Sun City was protected by the power of origin. As long as he hid in Heavenly Sun City, Even if Qin Feiyong attacked Heavenly Sun City, he would not be able to enter the city. If he doesn't listen, break his legs. Dong Jinxiang roared. The white-haired old woman felt helpless. If she really broke young Master Dong's legs, she was afraid that he would look for her to settle the score. Why was it so difficult to be a human? Even Qin Feiyong couldn't help but sympathize with this old woman. This was because he had personally witnessed how young Master Dong had left Heavenly Sun City. The old woman was a victim who had been forced into a corner. Father, can you not talk about this first? Quickly save us. Young Master Dong cried for help in despair. If he had known this would happen, he would have listened to the old woman and obediently stayed in the city. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. It was too late to say anything. Shut up. Dong Jinxiang glared at young Master Dong. He had repeatedly warned him not to leave Heavenly Sun City during this period, but he just wouldn't listen. Now you know fear? His gaze turned to Qin Feiyong and said in a deep voice, What do you want? Nothing. I just want you to convey a message to the Emperor for me. If you want the lives of Dong Xiaofeng and the others, then take out something that can satisfy me in exchange. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. What can satisfy you? The ultimate profound inheritance. Dong Jinxiang's face was as dark as water. As the patriarch of a direct descendant family, he could still take out a few ultimate profound inheritances. Ultimate profound inheritance? Are you trying to dismiss a beggar? I only need one thing, origin energy. One life, 10,000 strands of origin energy. Don't try to play tricks. You can't beat me. Prepare your origin energy and contact me again. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he asked the white-haired old woman to turn off the voice transmission stone. Wait. Dong Jinxiang hurriedly stopped him and said anxiously, One life, 10,000 strands of origin energy. You are too ridiculous. That will depend on the Emperor's heart whether these descendants of the Dong clan are worth 10,000 strands of origin energy. Qin Feiyong faintly smiled and looked at the white-haired old woman. His gaze was very calm, but the white-haired old woman felt a hair-raising sense of crisis. She ignored Dong Jinxiang's attempts to stop her and hurriedly closed the divine sound transmission stone. It was only now that she finally understood that Qin Feiyong came for the origin energy. Next, the white-haired old woman was very nervous. Dong Xiaofeng and the others' lives were of course valuable, but her life was worthless. Would Qin Feiyong let her live? She looked at Qin Feiyong again. After looking at the white-haired old woman for a moment, he suddenly smiled and said, You can go. Huh. The white-haired old woman was stunned. Go? Did she hear it wrong? He actually let her go? You don't even have the value of one strand of origin energy. Why should I let you live? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. The white-haired old woman smiled bitterly. True enough. She was not worth a single cent. However, according to this person's means and character, shouldn't he kill people who were worthless? Why did he let her go? Could it be that in this person's eyes she was not even worth killing? At the thought of this, she could not help but smile bitterly. People with low status and weak strength indeed had no dignity and did not even have the right to be killed. Sigh. This was fate. But fortunately she managed to keep her life. You're on your own. Out of gratitude to Qin Feiyong, the white-haired old woman kindly advised him and turned to leave at lightning speed. It's not me who's on my own, Qin Feiyong murmured. Although he let the white-haired old woman go, whether she was alive or dead was still unknown. Because, when the white-haired old woman returned to Tianyang City, Dong Jinxiang would definitely question her. Why was she able to return alive? He might even think that she was able to keep her life because she betrayed the central dynasty. So, if the white-haired old woman was smart enough, she would not return to Tianyang City. Retracting his gaze, Qin Feiyong turned to glance at Dong Xiaofeng's group and said with a faint smile, Don't worry, I won't kill you. After all, without you, this deal cannot be done. After saying that, Qin Feiyong waved his hand and suppressed the group of 10 people in a cultivation room in the ancient castle. Dong Xiaofeng had a sovereign divine weapon and Dong Yuanshao's group of 9 might also have one. But he did not take it to heart. A mere low-level sovereign divine weapon, even if they were given 100 guts, they would not dare to act rashly in the Black Tortoise realm. It's a pity that I haven't had the time to appreciate this 8 immortal mountain. Glancing at the surrounding broken mountains and rivers, Qin Feiyang opened a space-time tunnel and left without looking back. What? Imperial Capital Mountain. The emperor sat in the newly built imperial palace and looked at Dong Jinxiang, who was kneeling before him with an ashen face. Your Majesty, they are all direct descendants of our Dong clan. You must save them. Dong Jinxiang knelt on the ground and cried out with a look of despair. One life, 10,000 strands of origin energy. How do you want me to save them? The emperor roared. He was already in a terrible fix, and now this was happening. Wasn't this adding to his troubles? Dong Jinxiang's eyes trembled. Your Majesty, at this time, another group of people rushed in. Among them was Dong Liming. They were the patriarchs of the other 9 direct descendants. Your Majesty, is this true? Don't scare us. The 9 of them looked at the emperor hesitantly. Sigh. The emperor sighed and nodded. It's true. Damn it. Why did this happen? Dong Liming, it's all your fault. The patriarchs of the 8 direct descendants suddenly pointed their spears at Dong Liming. What does it have to do with me? Dong Liming said angrily. Before coming, I have already asked the people in the clan. They said that my son Ji Mingho went to 8 Immortal Mountain to persuade your son, Dong Xiaofeng. If not for this, would they fall into the hands of Qin Feiyang? You still say that this has nothing to do with you. One of the middle-aged men stared at Dong Liming angrily. Dong Liming clenched his hands. Although he was angry in his heart, he was powerless to refute. Because this was the truth. You must give us an explanation. Let me tell you, if anything happens to my daughter, I will not let you go. The more the group of people spoke, the angrier they became, pointing at Dong Liming's nose and scolding. Enough! Isn't it chaotic enough? The emperor roared angrily. The patriarchs of the direct descendants acted like a group of shrews. Where was this? Your Majesty! The group of people looked at the emperor, their eyes full of anxiety. This matter can't be blamed on Dong Xiaofeng, let alone Dong Liming. On the contrary, you should feel gratified because they went to persuade Dong Xiaofeng, indicating that they are loyal. The emperor said in a deep voice. What's the use of loyalty? Dong Jinxiang snorted coldly. The other patriarchs were also disdainful. If not for this so-called loyalty, would their children fall into the hands of Qin Feiyang? Sigh. Don't worry. I will think of a way. The emperor comforted them. The people here were his close relatives. Sometimes even he had to put up with them. What does Qin Feiyang want? Dong Liming asked. One life, 10,000 strands of origin force. The emperor shook his head and sighed. This was really an exorbitant demand. One life, 10,000 strands of origin force. 10 lives, that would be 100,000 strands of origin force. This number, even he couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. Because once he really gave it to Qin Feiyang's strength would skyrocket by a lot, and by then it would be more and more difficult to deal with. And in the Myriad Demons Valley, in order to save his daughter, Qin Feiyang had already obtained a large amount of origin force from his wife. The situation was getting worse for the Central Dynasty. When Dong Liming and the others heard Qin Feiyang's conditions, they were all dumbfounded. Origin force, this was the ultimate means of the Divine Kingdom. Even the top 10 direct descendants were not qualified to touch it, not even one strand. But now this little bastard asked for 100,000 strands of origin force. Wasn't he afraid of dying from overeating? Chapter 45-39. Your Majesty, we can't give you 100,000 strands of origin energy. Suddenly, a voice sounded from outside. Immediately, an old figure entered the imperial palace. This person was Dong Qingyuan. Dong Qingyuan, what do you mean? Dong Liming and the others immediately looked at Dong Qingyuan, their eyes full of anger. Dong Qingyuan ignored them and walked to the center of the hall. He looked at the emperor sitting above and bowed. Your Majesty, I know that you value the relationship with the 10 lineal families very much, but this is a serious matter. You must not act impulsively. Dong Qingyuan, what did you say? Say it again if you dare. Dong Jinxiang shouted angrily. Dong Qingyuan turned to look at Dong Jinxiang and said in a deep voice, I know that you love your son very much. To be honest, I also like young Master Dong very much, but this is really not a trivial matter. Dong Jinxiang stared at Dong Qingyuan without saying a word, his eyes extremely gloomy. Dong Qingyuan did not continue to target Dong Jinxiang. He glanced at everyone and said, "Patriarchs, what advantages do we have in the battle against Qin Feiyang and the others?" Advantages? The 10 of them were silent. "If you don't say it, then I will. At first, our central dynasty had a lot of advantages. Whether it's the 10 lineal families, our death god army, the monster king of the Kuanping Sea area, or the divine king of the Sky Dragon Mountain Range, they all posed a huge threat to Qin Feiyang and the others. However, because we underestimated them and did not use all our strength to destroy them at the first moment, giving them a chance to grow, until now we have no advantage in the face of them. This can be seen from the battle in the Myriad Demons Valley," Dong Qingyuan said. As soon as these words came out, not only the 10 patriarchs, but even the emperor fell silent. What Dong Qingyuan said was indeed an indisputable fact. Is our central dynasty really not at an advantage now? No. In fact, there is. Our current advantage is still the origin energy. However, the only advantage left is the origin energy. In other words, right now the only thing that can suppress Qin Feiyang and the others is the power of the origin of our divine kingdom. Dong Qingyuan sighed. Such a powerful central dynasty could not do anything to a group of people from a low-leveled civilization. Furthermore, they were a group of inexperienced youths. How sad and ridiculous was this? We all know that. But 100,000 strands of origin energy shouldn't affect the overall situation, right? Dong Jinxiang frowned. It won't affect the overall situation? Then let me ask you, do you know how much origin energy His Majesty and the Empress have left? Let me ask you again. Can His Majesty and Her Highness enter the land of origin and use the power of origin at will? No. The origin energy in their hands was bestowed upon them by the Lord Sovereign. Every time I use one, I'll have one less. Dong Qingyuan shouted. Facing the current situation, he really couldn't understand why Dong Jinxiang dared to say that it wouldn't affect the overall situation. Dong Jinxiang's expression froze. He looked up at the emperor and said, "Your Majesty, can you tell us how much power of origin you and your wife have?" This. The emperor was a little hesitant. "What's wrong? You don't even trust us, your family?" Dong Jinxiang frowned. "No." The emperor shook his head. "Don't force His Majesty." His Majesty didn't say anything because he didn't want you to worry, because if he tells the truth and there isn't much power of origin left, how will you have the courage to face Qin Feiyang in the future? I'm afraid that as long as you see him, you'll panic. Dong Qingyuan's words were not polite at all, but it was also the truth. The reason why these people from the direct family were still so confident was because of the power of origin. In their eyes, as long as there was power of origin, the central dynasty was invincible. No one could threaten their status and lives. Actually, I don't know how much power of origin His Majesty and the Empress have. But as a member of the central dynasty, in the face of the current situation, you must understand one thing. Save as much power of origin as possible. During this period of time, in order to kill Qin Feiyang and the others, to protect the imperial capital mountain, and to protect the clans of the direct family, His Majesty and the Empress have already used up a lot of power of origin, especially in the several confrontations between His Majesty and Qin Badian. They have lost tens of thousands of power of origin. And back then, in order to save the princess, the Empress also gave Qin Feiyang a lot of power of origin. If we give Qin Feiyang another 100,000 power of origin now, it may directly threaten the foundation of the central dynasty. So I implore all the family heads to consider the big picture. After saying that, Dong Qingyuan lowered his posture and bowed to the 10 family heads. The 10 family heads remained silent. To put it bluntly, they asked for it. They have a shelter. Why did they go to the 8 Immortal Mountain? Since they are willful, they have to bear the consequences of their willfulness. Besides, aren't they just a few children? Family heads, you are strong. If they are gone, you can just have a few more. Why help Qin Feiyang to save them and harm ourselves? Seeing that the 10 family heads were silent, Dong Qingyuan became angry and scolded mercilessly. As for the emperor, although he had been silent, in the face of Dong Qingyuan's sharp words, he couldn't help but look at him with gratitude. because these words were exactly what he wanted to say but didn't dare to say. Although he was the emperor of the central dynasty, the elders of the 10 families were basically his elders. Among them, even the brothers of the dominator of the divine kingdom. They were his father's brothers. So, in the face of the 10 families, sometimes he, the emperor, felt helpless. He couldn't beat them or scold them. If he really beat them up, they might go to the dominator of the divine kingdom and complain. In the end, he, the emperor, would be the one to be scolded. Since we have already said this, we have nothing to say. Why don't we go to the elders and ask for their opinions? Dong Jinxiang suddenly looked at the emperor and said. The so-called old men referred to the elders of the 10 great direct descendant clans. The emperor's eyelids twitched. He looked at the 10 and said, the elders are all rebuilding their bodies. It's better not to let them know about this, lest they get angry. Then what do you think we should do? Don't always let Dong Qingyun stand in front of you. You are the emperor of the central dynasty. One of them said angrily. The emperor pondered for a moment and said with a smile, how about this? When Sui comes back from the 4 continents, I will ask for her opinion and give you an answer. Okay. The 10 nodded, glared at Dong Qingyun, and turned to leave angrily. Soon, only the emperor and Dong Qingyun were left in the hall. Dong Qingyun frowned and said, Your Majesty, these people are too pedantic. You can't spoil them like this. As long as one wasn't a fool, one could see that Dong Liming and the others didn't have any selfish motives and wanted to save their children. There's no other way. They are my family. Moreover, Father has already instructed me to take good care of them no matter what happens. I can't ignore Father's orders. The emperor shook his head and sighed. Dong Qingyun was stunned. He said in surprise, why would the ruler give such instructions? One had to know. The most ruthless emperor family. As the ruler of the world, how could he care so much about family? I don't know. I've also asked Lord Father about this before. However, Lord Father always refused to breathe a word about this topic. Maybe there's a secret behind this. No matter what, I'll do whatever Father tells me to do. You, on the other hand, you have always had a good relationship with the 10 families, but this time you contradicted them in public for me. They might hate you. The emperor said with a smile. As long as I can share your worries, Your Majesty, I won't complain even if I have to sacrifice my life. Dong Qingyun immediately knelt on the ground and said righteously, Get up. The emperor smiled. This was what he liked about Dong Qingyun. His loyalty. Chapter 45-40. Time flew by. Another month passed by. Buzz. That afternoon, the divine voice stone in his arms suddenly rang, waking Qin Feiyang from his seclusion. He took out the divine voice stone and looked at it. His expression was immediately stunned. Immediately, he activated the divine voice stone. An old figure appeared. This person was the blood-haired old man. Brother Qin. The blood-haired old man smiled slightly. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang's expression was very indifferent. Don't be so cold. The blood-haired old man looked helpless. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, Didn't I say that you would give me an answer within 3 days? But now it seems that more than a month has passed. I can't help it. The higher-ups only gave me an answer now. The blood-haired old man smiled awkwardly. Your efficiency is too low and you have no sincerity. I don't dare to cooperate with you. Don't disturb me in the future, or I will treat you as an opponent like an emperor. After Qin Feiyang said that, he directly turned off the divine voice stone. There was a limit to one's patience. Last time he said that he would ask for instructions, but there was no news for more than a month. It was he who took the initiative to go to Black Tiger Mountain. This time they said that they would give him 3 days, but they only contacted him after more than a month. Since they took the initiative to cooperate with him, shouldn't they show full sincerity? But from these few contacts, he didn't see any sincerity. Qin Feiyang hated this kind of person the most. They weren't straightforward at all. Who was he trying to impress by putting on a mysterious look all day long? Who would fall for this trick of yours? Buzz. Just as Qin Feiyang was about to put away the divine voice stone, it rang again. Never ending? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. He thought it was the blood-haired old man, but when he activated the divine voice stone, he found that the people who appeared were the inner demons and Lu Jijin. Why is it you guys? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why can't it be us? The inner demons looked at him, puzzled. The two of them were now sitting in a secret room. It was airtight on all sides, and there was a soundproof barrier around them. Looking at Qin Feiyang's reaction, both of them were a little puzzled. Why was it so strange? No, I thought it was those masked men again. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. Masked man? The inner demons and Lu Jijin exchanged glances. I didn't notice. Last time in the Myriad Demons Valley, your fleshly bodies were destroyed. The divine sound transmission stone should have been destroyed as well, but why didn't your contract bridge disappear? Qin Feiyang asked in confusion. Why did you bring the divine voice transmission stone when you knew that you were going to die? Lu Jijin smiled faintly. He had heard of it. Qin Feiyang stared blankly at first, but then he suddenly realized that when they went to the Myriad Devil Valley, they didn't bring the transmission god stone. Since he didn't bring the divine sound transmission stone, he definitely didn't bring any spatial divine items. He really thought it through thoroughly, because once the divine sound transmission stone was destroyed, he would have to find them again to establish a contract bridge. This was a very troublesome thing. The inner demons asked suspiciously, "What are the masked men you mentioned just now?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "They are just a few insignificant people who want to cooperate with me, but they don't show their sincerity, so I don't want to pay attention to them." There are still people in the Central Dynasty who dare to cooperate with you. The inner demons was surprised. Could it be suddenly? The inner demons seemed to have thought of something and turned to look at Lu Jijin. Lu Jijin's eyes flashed. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "The masked men you mentioned, are they the ghost masked men who massacred Tianqian City?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "They broke off the contract with you?" Lu Jijin frowned. "Yes. After the battle in the Myriad Demons Valley, they came to me and said that they wanted to cooperate with me to overthrow the Central Dynasty," Qin Feiyang said. "What's going on?" Lu Jijin was not surprised. Although he had expected that these masked men belonged to a third party, he did not expect that they would go to Qin Feiyang and the others to cooperate. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them suspiciously. It seemed that he was particularly concerned about these masked men. "To tell you the truth, we have already contacted them," Lu Jijin said. "What? They have also contacted you? So, do they already know your true identity?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. This was not a trivial matter. The true identity of the two of them was a big secret that must not be leaked. "No. What I mean by contact is that they came to sneak attack us." Lu Jijin shook his head. "Sneak attack you?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. It was really a false alarm. He thought that the identity of the two of them had been exposed. However, another question followed. Why would these masked men sneak attack the inner demons and Lu Jijin? At first, we thought that they were sent by Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong, but when I saw their sovereign divine weapon self-destruct, I realized that this matter was not so simple. Lu Jijin said. "What? The sovereign divine weapon self-destructed?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. No kidding. How could the sovereign divine weapon self-destruct? One had to know. The sovereign divine weapon cared more about its own life than humans. This is what happened in front of us. At that time in the Myriad Demons Valley, Princess Yuexian and Dong Hanzong went to hunt you down. We were about to leave, but at this time two masked men appeared. If it weren't for the inner demons activating the fighting soul at the critical moment, I'm afraid we would have died in their hands, Lu Jijin said. It turned out to be a sneak attack in the Myriad Demons Valley. Qin Feiyang muttered. At that time, the battle in the Myriad Demons Valley was quite fierce, so they did not notice what happened behind them. Wait a minute. Fighting soul? At that time, the bodies of the inner demons and Lu Jijin seemed to have been shattered, leaving only their divine souls. Facing the sneak attack of the masked men and even the sovereign divine weapon, how could the inner demons activate the fighting soul and kill the other party? I have my own fighting soul now. The inner demons laughed. What fighting soul? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at the inner demons curiously. It's a secret for the time being. The inner demons laughed. The corner of Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched and his face was full of helplessness. Why did he have the same personality as the white-eyed wolf and the crazy senior brother? At that time we guessed that these masked men might be a third party hidden in the central dynasty. As expected. That night they went to Tianxian City and killed everyone. The world thought it was you who did it, but the inner demons and I knew that it had nothing to do with you. Lu Jiajin laughed. Cousin, you are indeed worthy of being my cousin. You can predict things like a god. Qin Feiyong flattered him. In fact, it was not flattery, because his cousin's brain was indeed very powerful. What do you mean by predicting things like a god? You will know if you use your brain a little bit. The emperor and others can't think of this because they don't know you well enough. Lu Jiajin shook his head. So now what is the emperor's plan? Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. The inner demons laughed and said, it's not so much the emperor's plan as our plan. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong did not understand at all. Cousin proposed to let the monarch, the divine king, the supreme master of the human clan, Bosch Ji and others come to the central dynasty to help. The inner demons briefly told Qin Feiyong about Lu Jiajin's plan. Qin Feiyong looked at Lu Jiajin in a daze. After a long time he did not say anything and gave Lu Jiajin a thumbs up. This plan was simply amazing. When the monarch and others entered the central dynasty, their plan to destroy the central dynasty would be even more invulnerable. Calculating the time, they should have entered the central dynasty and arrived at the imperial palace soon. Lu Jiajin laughed. Then when the time comes you have to take good care of them. Qin Feiyong said with a smile. That's a must. The inner demons bared his teeth and said, one more thing. We have also found out about Princess Yuxian's domain of death. Domain of death? Qin Feiyong was shocked. The domain of death was something he had always cared about. This domain of death is not something like a battle soul, but a supernatural power evolved by the supreme master of the divine kingdom, with the supreme profound of the law of death. It has a super strong defense. The inner demons introduced. Supreme profound of the law of death? Qin Feiyong was stunned. This was really a new word. As for how it evolved, Princess Yuxian herself is not too sure. She mentioned it before. The domain of death is a life-saving measure left to her by the supreme master of the divine kingdom. It can be used 3 times. Last time in Thousand Demons Valley, she used it once, so there are 2 more times left. The inner demons said. 3 times, Qin Feiyong muttered. In other words, if he wanted to capture or kill Princess Yuxian, he would have to face 2 more battles. This was truly a headache to deal with. Lu Jiajin asked, also, I heard you got a lot of origin energy from Ji Suyi? Ji Suyi? Qin Feiyong was shocked. Lu Jiajin smiled. She is Princess Yuxian's birth mother. So she is called Ji Suyi. Qin Feiyong muttered and smiled. Indeed, I got a lot of origin energy from her. Don't let your guard down. According to our inquiries, the origin energy you obtained from her was only a third of all the origin energy she possessed. Lu Jiajin warned. A third. Qin Feiyong was stunned. This woman actually had so much origin energy in her hands? It was beyond imagination. Of course, it was good to have the inner demons and his big cousin hiding in Imperial Capital Mountain. If they hadn't asked around he wouldn't have known. If he didn't know he would have been careless. The consequences would have been unimaginable. Qin Feiyong asked. When the news of Dong Xiaofeng and the others being captured reached the emperor's ears, how did he react? What other reaction could he have? Of course he was furious. But in comparison, the house heads of the 10 direct descendants were even more anxious. If it weren't for Dong Qingyuan, they would have forced the emperor to give up his origin energy in exchange for the hostages. As for now, the key lies with Ji Suyi, Lu Jiajin said. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong was confused. It means to save or not to save, it's up to Ji Suyi. If Ji Suyi says to save, the emperor will save. If Ji Suyi says no, I'm afraid even the 10 direct descendants can't do anything. Lu Jiajin shook his head. It seems Ji Suyi's position in the central dynasty is quite special. Qin Feiyong was shocked. Ji Suyi was the one to decide the fate of Dong Xiaofeng and the others. Chapter 45-41. Ji Suyi's position in the central dynasty is unimaginable. She's been meditating in the Ji family, never bothering with the Central Dynasty's affairs. Even we didn't pay much attention to her. Now that she's come out, I've seen her strength and courage. She's our biggest enemy." Lu Jijin shook his head with a bitter smile. She was a low-key person who gave others the wrong impression. You might think she's nothing to fear, but in fact, she's the real boss. We can't underestimate the Emperor couple. But this time it's a bit of a loss. We killed so many people in Myriad Demon's Valley, but they all split their souls to save their lives. Qin Feiyong shook his head regretfully. You should be content. Madman's success in transcending the tribulation is already his greatest gain. Plus, you got so much origin energy, and the Kuanping and Dragon God's peak sovereign weapons. The inner demons pursed their lips. By the way, did you manage to subdue the Dragon God and Kuanping's sovereign weapons? Lu Jijin asked. Not yet. The bones of these two sovereign weapons are very tough. I had no choice but to suppress them in Soul-Sealing Valley. Qin Feiyong shook his head. These two sovereign weapons, one is called Chaos Pagoda, the other Reincarnation Mirror. They're quite powerful, but more importantly, they're about to evolve. You must subdue them. Lu Jijin warned. Evolve? Qin Feiyong was stunned for a moment before he asked in surprise. You mean that they are about to evolve into legendary Dominator divine weapons? Yes. Lu Jijin nodded. Then we've found a treasure. Qin Feiyong was overjoyed. This was equivalent to two quasi-legendary sovereign weapons. Fine. That's all for now. You can consider working with the Devil Masked Man, but be careful. Don't be sold off and help them count the money. Lu Jijin said. Sell us? That depends on whether they have the ability. Qin Feiyong sneered, turned off the stone, and prepared to continue comprehending the law of devour. Wang. However, the divine voice-transmitting stone sounded again. Qin Feiyong frowned and looked down. The person who sent him the message this time was the blood-haired old man. After pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyong finally activated the divine sound transmission stone. The illusionary figure of the blood-haired old man appeared and blurted out without wasting any time, Brother Qin, it's all our fault. Can you give us another chance to work together? Qin Feiyong remained silent. This old man knows that you must think that we are dragging our feet. However, we also have our difficulties and must consider all kinds of risks. Therefore, I hope that you can understand. The blood-haired old man smiled. All right, I'll think about it. Qin Feiyong nodded. How long do you need to consider? The blood-haired old man hurriedly asked. As long as he could think about it, there was still hope. Depends on my mood. After saying that, Qin Feiyong directly turned off the voice transmission stone. Why should we cooperate just because you said so? I have a temper too, okay? You've made me wait for so long. Now, I'll let you have a taste of waiting. Sigh. Black Tiger Mountain. The blood-haired old man sighed and put away the stone. He turned to look at two figures not too far away, his old face full of helplessness. Of the two figures, one was the young man. The other person was also wearing a ghost mask. His figure was tall and slender, and his face could not be seen clearly. But whether it was the young man or the blood-haired old man, they both looked at him with respect. It's fine. Let's wait patiently. I'm sure he'll come to us. Because with their power, they can't destroy the Central Dynasty. It was a young voice. His tone was full of confidence. The next morning, Imperial Palace. One figure after another landed in front of the Imperial Palace. Their leader was Ji Suyi. Next was the king, the divine king, the leader of humanity. Boss Ji and the other elders stood in the back, expressionless. Although it was their first time entering Imperial Capital Mountain, they weren't surprised or excited. On the contrary, they were disgusted by what they saw. Seniors, please come in. When the guards opened the palace gates, Ji Suyi turned to Boss Ji and the others and smiled politely. A group of people entered the Imperial Palace one after another. Call His Majesty. Ji Suyi whispered to a guard as she entered the palace. Yes. The guard bowed and replied. Then he tore through the sky like a bolt of lightning. Ji Shaoi followed and smiled at the king and the others. Make yourself at home, everyone. Boss Ji and the other elders didn't hold back. As for the king, the divine king, and the leader of humanity, they were more or less reserved. Come in. After greeting the elders, Ji Sui looked at the other guard at the door. The guard ran in. Ji Sui asked, "Did anything happen in the Central Dynasty while I was gone?" The guard hesitated. When the monarch and the others heard this, they couldn't help but look at the guard. Now, they desperately wanted to know what happened to Qin Feiyang and the others. Perhaps the guard had something they wanted to know. "Speak." Seeing the guard so hesitant, Ji Sui's heart grew uneasy. "After you left, two things happened. First, Tianxian City was bathed in blood. Aside from Dong Liming and Dong Xiaofeng, a small number of people who went out to train, as well as the Heavenly Will experts who rebuilt their bodies in Imperial Capital Mountain, were all killed. Second, the sons and daughters of the 10 main families, including your nephew Ji Mingho, were kidnapped by Qin Feiyang and the others at 8 Immortal Mountain." The guard said nervously. "What?" Ji Sui had just sat down, but when she heard this, she stood up with a face full of anger. "Dong Liming." At the same time, hearing this name, Boss Ji and the elders' eyes flashed with murderous intent. "Tianxian City was bathed in blood," Ji Sui muttered. "Qin Feiyang and the others did it?" "Yes." The guard nodded. "Damn it." Ji Sui clenched her fists. "Then why did Ji Mingho and the others get kidnapped by Qin Feiyang at 8 Immortal Mountain?" The guard said, "It seems they went to talk to Dong Xiaofeng and accidentally bumped into Qin Feiyang. Why would they go to 8 Immortal Mountain at this time? Isn't that ridiculous?" Ji Sui was furious. How did the house heads react? The guard said, "The house heads hoped His Majesty would fulfill Qin Feiyang's conditions and rescue Ji Mingho and the others." "What conditions?" Ji Sui frowned. "1 life, 10,000 strands of origin energy." The guard answered honestly. "What a big appetite." Ji Sui was furious. In a short span of 3 months such a big thing had happened. The guard said, "His Majesty was hesitant, so he said he would wait until you returned from the 4 continents." Phew, Ji Sui took a deep breath and sighed. How could I not understand His Majesty's thoughts? He doesn't want to rescue anyone. "You may leave." "Yes." The guard left the hall. The monarch and the others looked at each other, smiling. They didn't know what was going on, but from Ji Sui's anger, it wasn't hard to see that Qin Feiyang and the others were doing well in the Central Dynasty. It seemed their worries in the 4 continents were unnecessary. "Seniors, the Central Dynasty's situation is not optimistic. Seniors, I hope you can put aside your personal grudges and work together to get through this crisis." Ji Sui looked at Boss Ji and the elders and spoke with sincerity. "It's no use telling us. You should tell the monarch. As long as he meets our conditions, we will help you kill Qin Feiyang and the others." Boss Ji said flatly. Seeing Boss Ji's stubbornness, Ji Sui was helpless. Whoosh! This time, figures arrived one after another. Their leader was the monarch. Next were Dong Qing'an, Dong Hanzong, Dragon God, and Kuan Peng. "Greetings, Your Majesty." The monarch and the others looked at each other and bowed. "Rise, rise." The monarch was very friendly. He looked at the 3 and sighed, "I'm so sorry. The 4 continents have suffered so much." "Suffered? What do you mean, Your Majesty?" The Divine King looked at the monarch in confusion. He was clearly playing dumb. "It's all because of the origin power. I don't know. What is Father thinking? He only gave Neptune and the Dragon God origin power but not you 3. In terms of merit and contribution to the Divine Kingdom, you 3 far exceed Neptune and the Dragon God." The monarch sighed. "So that's why. The monarch must have his own plans. As citizens of the Divine Kingdom, we only need to obey." The Divine King chuckled. But he snorted in his heart. "Why are you pretending? You're the monarch's son. How could you not know this? Now that you have a favor to ask of them, you're pretending to be innocent? Be a human. You can't be so hypocritical. The God King is truly magnanimous. Even I am ashamed of my inferiority." The monarch shook his head and sighed. He then greeted Boss Ji and the others and apologized. "I'm sorry to disturb your cultivation. When the country is in trouble, everyone is responsible. Protecting the Divine Kingdom and the common people is also our duty. Since the monarch was so hypocritical, why should they be polite? Who doesn't know how to be hypocritical?" "Well said. Please sit, please sit." The monarch laughed happily. then greeted them and walked up to the throne. Monarch Divine King Jizun and seniors, we meet again. Dong Hanzong also politely greeted the monarch and the group of people. In front of a peerless genius like you, we don't dare to be called seniors. Ji Laoshi sneered. Why didn't you be so polite when you went to the village to abuse your power? Dong Hanzong smiled bitterly and said apologetically, Junior is truly sorry for the offense I committed in the past. I hope seniors can forgive me. You think others will forgive you just because you're sorry? Is your face that big? This time, accompanied by a sneer, Lu Jijin and the inner demons also stepped into the hall. Dong Hanzong's face instantly turned ugly. Chapter 45-42. Dong Hanzong turned to the two, Lu Yunfeng, Lu Yuntian. His Majesty the Emperor didn't call you here. We came uninvited, can't we? You have a problem with that? The inner demon snickered. He stared at Dong Hanzong with a dangerous look. Dong Hanzong raised an eyebrow ready to explode. But then, the inner demons turned to the monarch and shook his head. I didn't think you'd have the guts to come. Don't you know you're here to die? Dong Qingyuan, Kuimpeng, and the dragon god glared at the inner demons. It wasn't easy to get them here. Why are you saying that? What if you scare them away? Death or not, that's none of your concern. Boss Ji snorted and turned to the monarch. Let's get back to business. We can help even if we die in the Central Dynasty. But you have to agree to one condition. When the emperor heard this, he frowned and said, Sui, didn't you talk to them? No. To appease them, I told them to come talk to you. Ji Sui thought. Why did you leave me with such a huge problem? The monarch smiled bitterly. You did the same. You left me with the problem of saving Ji Mingho and the others. Ji Sui looked at him with displeasure. You already know? The monarch was shocked. You think you can hide this from me? Ji Sui nodded. Ha! The monarch laughed dryly and transmitted. I had no choice. You can't, but I can? I think you just don't want to be the bad guy. Ji Sui was helpless. If they decided to save Dong Xiaofeng and the others, that would be fine. However, if she decided not to save him, the members of the 10 great clans would surely vent their anger on her. This included her maternal family, the Ji family. All right. Since they're all difficult problems, there's no difference. Let's deal with them one by one. The emperor comforted him and looked at Boss Ji. Senior, I know what your condition is, but the Central Dynasty is in danger. We must stay united. We can't afford any more trouble. We understand. But we can't get over this hurdle in our hearts. If you don't give us an explanation, we won't be in the mood to deal with Qin Feiyang and the others. Boss Ji said gloomily. Understood. How about this? After the crisis of the Central Dynasty is resolved, that is, once we get rid of Qin Feiyang and the other scourges, I guarantee that I will give your Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan a satisfactory explanation. The emperor promised. No matter what, he had to appease these people first. What did you say? Wait until Qin Feiyang and the other scourges are eliminated before you give us an explanation. Excuse me, Your Majesty, but you must be joking. Once we get rid of Qin Feiyang and the others, do we still have any value? Will you give us an explanation then? You'll probably chase us back to the 4 great continents. Ji Laoshi sneered. The emperor's eyes flashed with anger, but he suppressed it and said helplessly, Senior, I'm the emperor of the Central Dynasty. Don't I even have this little bit of credibility? Credibility? Don't mention that word. After that incident, you said that you would give us an explanation. But how many years have passed since then? Have you ever mentioned this matter? If the Central Dynasty didn't need us this time, we wouldn't even have the chance to meet you, let alone solve this problem. Therefore, the word honor is nothing more than a joke in my eyes. Ji Laoshi had a fiery temper. He wouldn't show any mercy even if he was the emperor. In the face of Ji Laoshi's repeated offense, the emperor couldn't help but feel a trace of hostility rise between his brows. He was the emperor after all. How could he not give him face? Out of curiosity, what's the grudge between you two? The inner demon's voice suddenly sounded. The emperor and his wife frowned and stared at the inner demons as if to say, What's this about? Why are you interrupting? Okay. You can continue. The inner demon smiled. It seemed that this grudge wasn't shallow. Otherwise, the emperor and his wife wouldn't be so wary. Everyone, let me say something. No matter what grudge the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan has with the top 10 clans, in the face of the current situation, as a member of the Divine Kingdom, we should temporarily put aside our past grudges and unite against the outside world. However, before Dong Qingyun could finish, Ji Laoshi glared at Dong Qingyun and shouted, "Who do you think you are? Who are you to interrupt in this matter?" Dong Qingyuan's expression froze, and he said angrily, "I'm the commander of the Death God army. What's so great about being a commander? Believe it or not, I can crush you with one hand." Ji Laoshi looked at him with disdain. "You..." Dong Qingyun was burning with anger. As the commander of the Death God army, except for the ruler of the Divine Kingdom, the emperor and his wife, and the princess of the Moon Fairy, who dared to be so rude to him, even the top 10 clans had to give him some face. "You're just a dog. Don't jump out." Ji Laoshi also sneered. He raised his head to look at the emperor and said, "We are not unreasonable people. However, your previous actions have indeed caused us to be bitterly disappointed. We can temporarily let go of this hatred. However, the condition is that you have to make a blood oath in front of everyone. After you eliminate Qin Feiyang and the others, you guarantee that you will give us a satisfactory explanation." Second brother. Ji Laoshi looked at Ji Laoshi with dissatisfaction. "Laoshi, calm down. In the current situation, our Divine Kingdom really can't have internal strife. Otherwise, others will think that we're all unreasonable old things." Ji Laoshi waved his hand. However, even if they made a concession, the emperor still felt uncomfortable. He was the emperor of the Central Dynasty, but he was asked to make a blood oath in public. Wasn't this deliberately embarrassing him? Did it hurt his dignity as an emperor? "We've already made a concession. If you don't agree, then don't call us heartless. We'll return to the 4 continents right now," Ji Laoshi said in a low voice. Ji Sui turned to the emperor and spoke, "Just agree with them. We'll have to deal with this sooner or later. Plus, they're just asking for an explanation. You'll be the one to decide how you'll explain it, right?" The emperor looked at Ji Sui and took a deep breath. He looked at Boss Ji and the others and nodded, "All right, as you wish. I'll make a blood oath." With the oath, a seal entered the emperor's body. "Now are all of you satisfied, seniors?" Ji Sui smiled at the old men. "Humph." Ji Laoshi snorted and turned his head to look elsewhere. Boss Ji and the others were also silent. These old men are all actors. Looking at the group of old people, Lu Jijin smiled secretly. "Actors?" The inner demon was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, "Do you mean that what they are doing now is all an act?" "Of course it's an act. They've already entered the Central Dynasty. If they want to kill Dong Liming and the others, wouldn't that be easy? Why waste so much time talking to the emperor? They're doing this to dispel the emperor's worries, because they have a grudge against the Central Dynasty. Now that they've finally entered the Central Dynasty, if they don't ask or say anything, the emperor will be suspicious." Lu Jijin spoke. "I see." The inner demons understood and laughed. They really are actors. But, seeing that they had finally solved this troublesome matter, before the emperor and his wife could breathe a sigh of relief, a second trouble came. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of the air being torn apart, 10 figures landed in front of the imperial palace's door like lightning. They were Dong Liming and the other leaders of the 10 main families. "Oh no." Ji Sui's eyes twitched. Didn't they just run into Boss Ji and the others? Of course. Seeing Dong Liming and the others, Boss Ji and the others stood up, their murderous aura undisguised. Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Kuan Peng, and Dragon God were ready to fight. The inner demons and Lu Jijin retreated to the side, crossed their arms and watched the show. Facing the surging murderous aura, Dong Liming and the others were shocked. They looked at Boss Ji's group and their faces changed. They were in the Central Dynasty? Did Ji Sui go to the 4 continents to invite them? They didn't know why Ji Sui went to the 4 continents, but Ji Sui went to the 4 continents. Before, when they heard Ji Sui was back, they were eager to save their children and rushed over. But they didn't expect to run into these people. Memories that had been sealed away for a long time surfaced in his mind. Their hearts couldn't help but tense up. "Finally found you. Hand over your life." Ji Tin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. In an instant, his eyes turned red as if dyed in blood. Then, he took a step forward and charged towards the 10 people. This is the Imperial Palace. Don't you dare! Dong Qingyuan roared and hurriedly stood in front of Ji Laoshi. You dare block my way with your meager strength? Ji Tin smiled maliciously. 3,000 clones appeared behind him, filling half the hall. Seeing Ji Tin use 3,000 clones without a word, Dong Qingyuan's eyes trembled and his face paled. No matter how strong he was, he didn't dare fight 3,000 clones. Lu Yuntian, come and stop them. In a moment of desperation, he thought of the inner demon's demon king true body and shouted, Don't order me around. Otherwise, I'll cripple you before he does anything. The inner demon's eyes turned cold. I am the Legion commander. Dong Qingyuan shouted. I'm still your uncle. Scram as far as you can. The inner demon sneered. Dong Qingyuan's eyes widened in anger. A vice commander of the 10th squad dared to disobey the Legion commander's orders. How preposterous! Dong Hanzong glanced at the inner demons and knew it was time for him to show off. He landed next to Dong Qingyuan and looked at Ji Tin Sr. If you insist on fighting, then don't blame me for being rude. Boom! As he spoke, the Yin Kuan domain appeared. Invincible runes, star runes, undying runes. They floated around him, flashing with divine light. Chapter 45-43. Universe Domain. Ji Laoshi's eyes flickered. He had already monitored Dong Hanzong's universe domain in the 4 great continents. In a one-on-one battle, even the 3,000 incarnations were unable to break through the universe domain. Suddenly, he rolled his eyes and laughed. It's just a joke. Why are you so nervous? With that, Ji Laoshi turned off the 3,000 incarnations. The emperor couple Dong Qingyun Kuan Peng and the dragon god couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. If this group of old men were to really cause trouble, only the power of origin would be able to suppress them. Needless to say, Dong Liming and the others. There was no battle, but they all felt like they had survived a disaster. Senior is wise, Junior admires. If I have offended you before, I hope Senior can forgive me. Dong Hanzong smiled slightly and also closed the universe domain. In his heart he was very proud. So what if he was an old antique of the purple gold divine dragon clan? In the face of his universe domain, didn't he still have to behave himself? Magnanimous? The corner of Ji Laoshi's mouth lifted, with a smile of a scheme that had succeeded, and said, Do you think this old man is such a magnanimous person? Boom! The 3,000 incarnations were activated again. A terrifying aura surged towards Dong Hanzong. Puff! Dong Hanzong was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. He flew out of the hall and heavily smashed into the mountain outside. Ji Laoshi, what are you doing? This scene was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Lu Jijin and the inner demons. They didn't expect Ji Laoshi to attack again. As long as my cultivation is still there, my 3,000 incarnations can be activated infinitely, but your universe domain can only be activated once a day. Just now I was just tricking you to close the universe domain. Do you really think this old man is afraid of you? You're still too inexperienced to be so arrogant with this old man. Ji Laoshi sneered. As expected, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Lu Jijin smiled bitterly. Even he thought that Ji Laoshi chose to endure because he was afraid of Dong Hanzong, but he didn't expect that it was just a trick to trick Dong Hanzong to close the universe domain. As soon as these words came out, whether it was the emperor or Dong Qingyuan and the other 2, their faces were extremely ugly. They were all fooled by this old man. Dong Liming and the other 9 also became nervous. Although this group of old people did not have the same status as them, every single one of them was in existence that made one's scalp tingle. You are despicable. Dong Hanzong angrily rushed out into the main hall. His face was covered in dirt, and he was in an extremely sorry state. You're wrong. This is the mind. You have to use your brain when doing things. Ji Laoshi laughed disdainfully. This was equivalent to mocking Dong Hanzong for not thinking before doing things. This was a grudge between their purple gold divine dragon clan and the 10 great direct descendant clans. What did a branch family member like you come here to flaunt your might for? Don't you know that the bird that sticks out gets shot? Dong Hanzong clenched his fists, his eyes blazing with anger. Right now, he felt that he was like a monkey being played around by the other party. Scram! The current, you can no longer stop this old man. If you dare to continue, then don't blame this old man for being merciless. Killing intent surged in Old Ji's eyes. Dong Hanzong instinctively took a step back. Without the universe domain, he would lose the ability to fight against Ji Laosher. However, just as he retreated, he regretted it. How could he show such a cowardly side in front of the emperor couple? To become the emperor couple's son-in-law, no matter what, he had to have courage and courage. Retreating in the face of danger, who would fancy such a useless person? He glanced at the emperor couple. His heart was extremely nervous. He was afraid that his previous performance would disappoint the emperor couple, but he didn't know that this was just his wishful thinking. The emperor couple didn't even pay attention to him, because the problem that the couple was thinking about now was how to solve the current problem. And Ji Laosher also ignored him. The 3,000 clones unleashed a terrifying aura, like a torrent rushing towards Dong Liming's group. Don't go too far. This is the Central Dynasty. Dong Liming roared. We're going too far? How can you have the face to say that? Ji Laosher raged, his 3,000 clones law power surging. Seeing Ji Laosher about to attack, the emperor frowned and prepared to intervene. But at this moment Ji Sui reached out and stopped the emperor. Ji Sui only shook her head in response to the emperor's confusion. Then she waved her hand and origin power appeared. The emperor trio, Old Ji, and the elders all looked at Ji Sui, thinking she was going to use origin power to suppress Ji Laosher. But the next moment, a shocking scene unfolded. Ji Sui waved her hand, and the origin power turned into a barrier, covering everyone inside. Does this mean she's admitting we're going to settle the score with Dong Liming's group? Ji Laoba asked. I don't know. Ji Laojiu shook his head. Ji Sui's strange behavior was hard to fathom. But Ji Laosher was a hot-tempered person, but he didn't think that far. Seeing the barrier, he threw all his worries to the back of his mind and unleashed his ultimate meaning. Before, he seemed impulsive, but he did have some concerns. Because this was the imperial capital mountain. If he attacked without holding back, the mountain would be destroyed. The emperor would be furious. But now, with the barrier formed by the origin energy, it could isolate all the fluctuations of the battle. Naturally, he could attack without restraint. When Dong Liming saw this scene, his eyes couldn't help but darken. You forced me to do this. As his gloomy words fell, the pinnacle sovereign weapon, Thor's hammer, appeared. Its terrifying aura engulfed the entire barrier. Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, the heavenly dragon god, and Kuan Peng retreated from the barrier at the same time. You guys leave as well. Ji Laojiu looked at the emperor trio. Why are you telling me to leave? I can stay and help you guys. The emperor was confused. If the divine kings and the human race's supremes were to retreat, it would be pardonable. After all, this was a personal grudge between the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan and the 10 great clans. But the emperor, as a descendant of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, sought revenge on the 10 great clans. This was his duty and his duty. He had never thought of avoiding this responsibility. You're the emperor. Your status is different. Don't get involved, Jijio said without turning his head. But the emperor wanted to say something. But Jijio suddenly turned his head and glared at the emperor. The emperor shrunk his neck and could only obediently follow the divine king and the human sovereign out of the barrier. You want to turn the tables with just one pinnacle sovereign weapon? Dream on. Ji Laosher laughed with murderous intent. And us. Dong Jinxiang and the others took a step forward and landed beside Dong Liming. Terrifying sovereign's aura erupted from their bodies. Obviously, all of them had their own guardian artifacts as well. In other words, they had 10 pinnacle sovereign weapons. 10 pinnacle dominator divine weapons. How impressive! Ji Laosher's voice sounded. Boom! In the next moment, more than a dozen old men activated their 3,000 clones. Terrifying auras surged out like a tide. Not to mention Dong Liming and the others, even their pinnacle sovereign weapons couldn't help but tremble. 15 old men. There were a total of 45,000 clones. If they all activated their ultimate intents, even if each of them only had 6 ultimate intents, there would be hundreds of thousands of them. Not to mention, Ji Laosher and the others had basically mastered 7 ultimate intents of the strongest laws. Facing such a terrifying lineup, who dared to fight? Kneel down and repent. The group of old men's eyes were cold and fierce. The powerful pressure made Dong Liming and the others' legs go soft and tremble. Their pride didn't allow them to kneel down, because it was a disgrace. As one of the 10 main families of the Dong clan, how could they kneel down to outsiders? But the pressure of 45,000 clones was too terrifying. Plop! Dong Liming and the others knelt on the ground one by one. Their faces were pale. They wanted to stand up, but they couldn't. This pressure was like a towering mountain pressing down on their heads, almost suffocating them. They're kneeling, they're really kneeling. Dong Qingyun murmured and turned to look at the emperor and empress. Your Majesty, Empress, they're the patriarchs of the 10 main families. How can they kneel to outsiders? That's right. Your Majesty, Empress, please take action and suppress these old things. Show the central dynasty's might and make an example out of them. Kuanping and Dragon God also spoke. But the emperor and empress turned a deaf ear. In fact, the emperor wanted to take action, because as the emperor of the central dynasty, he couldn't tolerate the purple gold dragon's wanton behavior in the central dynasty, especially in the imperial palace. But Ji Sui stopped him before because she didn't want him to intervene. Sui, what are you doing? Seeing Ji Sui's indifference, the emperor couldn't help but ask. Calm down. Ji Sui replied. She looked at Ji Laosher and the others, then at Dong Liming and the others. This woman, it's really hard to fathom. Lu Jijin was also observing Ji Sui. But he had always been observant, but he couldn't see through this woman. It was as if she was covered in a veil. No matter what she wants to do, the patriarchs of the 10 main families will lose face today. The inner demon snickered inside. Given the pride and dignity of the 10 great direct descendant clans, kneeling in front of the purple gold divine dragon clan could be described as a great humiliation to them. It wasn't just humiliation. Dong Liming and the others felt despair. Even though they had peak dominator weapons, but they didn't feel safe. It was as if the 15 old men in front of him were 15 unreachable mountains. You should rejoice. If not for the origin separating the central dynasty from the 4 continents, preventing us from entering the central dynasty, you'd all be dead. How would you have the chance to live in the central dynasty for so many years? So, now, go to hell and atone for the mistakes you've made back then. Ji Laosher cackled. Tens of thousands of ultimates erupted with terrifying will of the heavenly way. Then he charged toward the 10 people. Chapter 45-44. Your Majesty, Empress, Sister. The 10 looked at the royal couple in despair. One of them was the most eye-catching. Sister. In other words, that voice belonged to Ji Sui's brother. Brother and sister, was there even a need to explain their relationship? Ji Sui wouldn't let her brother die at the hands of Boss Ji and the others. So now, Ji Sui finally reacted, sending her origin power to the ultimate essences. But in an instant, Ji Laosher's tens of thousands of ultimate essences turned to dust. Ji Laosher raised an eyebrow and glared at Ji Sui with displeasure. Ji Sui smiled faintly. Seniors, they are all kneeling. You should feel better. If it were up to me, I'd say this ends here. Then, a cold light flashed in her eyes as she added with a smile, don't push your luck too far. Her voice was calm, but it was filled with a bone-chilling coldness. Boss Ji's pupils shrank as he stopped the furious Ji Laosher. Laosher, this woman is very shrewd. Know when to stop. Hurt. Ji Laosher clenched his fists and suppressed his anger. That's right. Wouldn't it be nice if we all stayed in harmony? Ji Sui smiled. The origin power's barrier collapsed and returned to her body. The reason why she had been sitting back and doing nothing was to let Boss Ji and the others vent their frustrations. Because if this resentment was not vented sooner or later, it would cause even greater internal strife. The central dynasty couldn't afford another civil war. So, she had to take care of these conflicts now. She knew Dong Liming and the others. It was impossible to make them kneel. So she let it go. As long as she could stabilize the situation, Dong Liming and the others would sacrifice their pride and kneel before the elders. It was worth it. In short, everything was under her control. If Ji Laoshe and the others insisted on making a scene, she wouldn't be polite. Because the words, "don't push your luck," represented her determination. Phew. Boss Ji took a deep breath and turned off his 3,000 clones. He looked up at the emperor. "Your Majesty, don't forget your blood oath. I am the emperor. My words are imperial edicts." The emperor said flatly. "All right." Boss Ji nodded and looked at the others. Everyone turned off their clones and retreated. This caused everyone present to heave a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Dong Liming and the other 9 got up slowly and suppressed the fear in their hearts. They looked at Boss Ji and the others with hatred in their eyes. Of course, they weren't going to let this go. "Grandpa, I was really worried that you guys would recklessly kill them on impulse." The king looked at Boss Ji and said with a bitter smile, "Kid, do you think we're senile fools? The emperor and his wife both have the power of origin. How can we fall out with them? But you must be careful of this, Ji Sui." Boss Ji instructed in his mind. "I know." The monarch nodded and glanced at Ji Sui. She was going to be harder to deal with than the king. "Let's get back to business." Ji Sui returned to her seat and smiled at the emperor. "Your Majesty, I promised the elders that when we arrived in the Central Dynasty, I would give each of them a strand of origin." "What?" The emperor was shocked. "How could you give away origin so easily?" Ji Sui transmitted. "If we want to kill Qin Feiyong and the others, we can't do that without origin. We need to at least give them something to protect themselves." "All right, you promised them. If you go back on your word, it'll damage the royal family's reputation." The emperor nodded. With a wave of his hand, 18 strands of origin appeared before Boss Ji and the others. Boss Ji and the others didn't hesitate and took them. Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Kuan Peng, and Dragon God were envious. Because even they didn't get a single strand of origin. Especially Dong Liming and the others. Seeing the monarch and the others get a strand of origin, they were furious. Because they still wanted to take revenge. But now these people all had origin. How were they supposed to get revenge? They were already at their wits' end with just the 3,000 clones, not to mention the fact that there was also the origin energy. What were the emperor and his wife thinking? How could they give away such powerful origin to outsiders? This treatment is different. The inner demon shook his head and sighed. There's no helping it. Who told them to be invited by Ji Sui herself? Lu Jiajin smiled inside. To be honest, he was envious. Ji Sui said, "One more thing. While they're in the Central Dynasty, we can't interfere with their freedom." "That's a small matter." The emperor waved his hand. "Finally, I suggest that we give everyone here a strand of source energy to protect themselves," Ji Sui said. Dong Qingyuan and the others were excited. Especially Dong Liming and the others. As long as they had origin to protect themselves, they wouldn't have to worry about being ambushed. They knew very well that Boss Ji and the others wouldn't let them off so easily even if they wanted to take revenge. And with the origin energy, their chances of revenge would be greater. Yes, this time, the emperor didn't hesitate. He took out a dozen strands of origin and gave them to Dong Qingyuan and the others. This was the difference. When he heard Ji Sui say to give origin to the monarch and the others, he wasn't too happy about it. But now, when he heard Dong Qingyuan and the others were to be given origin, he didn't hesitate. What a straightforward answer. At the same time, Lu Jiajin and the inner demons received a strand of origin. But they didn't care about a single strand of origin. Because, if they wanted it, they could go to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong and the others had a large amount of origin. What was 1 or 2 strands missing? Plus, in the face of such a battle, what use would a single strand of source energy be? It was only for self-defense. Now with the monarch, the divine king, and the supreme as reinforcements, the Central Dynasty's power has increased. From now on, focus on tracking Qin Feiyong and the others. We'd rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go, Ji Sui said. Her tone was so cold that it sent a chill down everyone's spine. Yes, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, the dragon god, and the Kuanping all answered. Sister, there's one more important thing. Save Mingho and the others. The Ji clan leader looked at Ji Sui. Yes. His Majesty said you should make the decision. You have to think this through. Because aside from Ji Mingho, the other children are your nieces and nephews, Dong Liming, Dong Jinxiang, and the others spoke in a hurry, their eyes begging. Ji Sui rubbed her forehead. She couldn't avoid this. The king sat to the side watching Ji Sui leisurely. Fortunately, he was smart. He pushed the responsibility to his wife. Otherwise, he'd be the one rubbing his forehead right now. Ji Sui's silence made the Ji clan leader speak. Sister, if you don't care, I'll have to go to the old man. You know how much he loves Mingho. If he learns of this, he'll be furious. Ji Sui frowned and looked at the Ji clan leader. Annoyed, brother, don't use the old man to pressure me. You know me. If I make a decision, the old man can't interfere. Hearing this, the Ji family patriarch's body stiffened, and his face turned ugly. Sui, we're family. Why are you so angry? And there's no point in being angry. We have to deal with this eventually. Dong Liming and the others spoke. Do you really want to save them? Ji Sui looked at the group and asked. They all fell silent. But the meaning was clear. Do you know how important this is? 100,000 strands of origin is not a small number. Back then, when Father left the Divine Kingdom, he only gave me and His Majesty 2 million strands of origin energy in total. Ji Sui spoke in a low voice. That much? The inner demons and Lu Jijin were shocked. The monarch, the divine king, supreme boss Ji, and the others couldn't stay calm. If they knew the emperor and his wife had so much origin, they would have asked for more. Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, Dragon God, and Kuimping couldn't stay calm either. This number was far beyond their wildest imaginations. 2 million strands of origin? Seeing how stingy you are, I thought it was only 200,000. 2 million strands of origin. Even if you gave Qin Feiyong another 100,000 strands, what's the big deal? The Ji clan leader was furious. If there were only 200,000 or 300,000 strands of origin, it'd be understandable if they refused to help. But with 2,100,000 strands was just a drop in the bucket. How big of a deal could it be? It seems 2 million strands of origin is a lot. But back in Myriad Demon's Valley, to save the Moon Immortal, 1/3 of my 1 million strands of origin was taken by Qin Feiyong. Moreover, I lost quite a lot of origin energy during the battle. As for His Majesty's origin, back then, he gave the Moon Immortal 200,000 strands of origin to protect herself, but they were destroyed by the madman's all-evil sword in Myriad Demon's Valley. Even worse, when Qin Batian attacked Imperial Capital Mountain, His Majesty lost 300,000 strands of origin. In addition, in order to protect the Imperial Capital Mountain, your cities and your clansmen's lands, His Majesty has consumed a lot of origin energy. Right now, His Majesty's 1 million strands of origin energy should only be left with about 300,000 strands at most. Even with the origin I have, he only has 1 million strands left. Do you really think giving Qin Feiyong 100,000 strands of origin won't affect us? You know, when they obtain another 100,000 streams of origin energy, they will have over 400,000 streams of origin energy in their hands. In addition to their fighting souls, the all-evil sword, and the Eye of Heaven, I can't help but feel my scalp go numb just thinking about it. Ji Sui said in a low voice. Chapter 45-45. The most important thing is Qin Batian. The emperor's gaze was heavy as he stared at the group of clan leaders. The source energy in Qin Batian's hands is even stronger compared to ours. If we don't have enough source energy, we wouldn't be his opponent at all. That's right. 100,000 strands of origin may not seem like much, but in times of crisis it can be very useful. Ji Sui nodded. She meant she didn't want to save them. Why? When I gave your daughter 200,000 strands of origin to protect herself, I gave her 200,000 strands. But now for 10 lives I want 100,000 strands of origin, yet you refuse. Are these 10 children's lives not half as important as your daughter's? The house heads glared at the couple. If they didn't know, they would have felt better. Just for protection, Princess Yuxian was given 200,000 strands of origin, while the other house heads didn't even have 1 strand of origin. But now, they only wanted 100,000 strands of origin to save lives. It was to save lives, nothing else, yet they refused. They were all descendants of the Dong and Ji houses. Why was there such a difference in treatment? Seeing the 10 angry house heads, the emperor and his wife frowned. Why won't they listen? Lu Jijin's eyes flashed as he smiled at the emperor and his wife. Actually, I think we can save them. The emperor and his wife looked at Lu Jijin suspiciously. Dong Qingyun raised an eyebrow and shouted at Lu Jijin, Lu Yunfeng, why are you butting in? Do you know how serious this is? Don't cause trouble for His Majesty and the Empress. Because he was in opposition, he didn't like Lu Jijin's sudden suggestion. Dongqing, you should be the one to shut up. Who do you think you are? This is our family business. Who gave you the right to speak? The househeads glared at Dong Qingyun. Dong Jinxiang looked at Lu Jijin and comforted him. With us here you don't need to fear him. He's just a dog. What's the point of being so cocky? When Dong Qingyun heard this, he clenched his fists and said angrily, Dong Jinxiang, don't go too far. What can you do if I say that about you? I'm the patriarch of a direct descendant family. Do I not have the right to talk about a dog like you? Dong Jinxiang sneered. Your Majesty. Dong Qingyun was so angry that he turned to look at the emperor. The emperor glanced at Dong Jinxiang and said faintly, watch your words. Even if you want to beat a dog, you have to look at its owner first. How could he humiliate Dong Qingyun in front of him, the master of the house? Humph. Dong Jinxiang snorted and looked at Lu Jijin. Continue. In the past, when they saw Lu Jijin, the 10 great family heads were all very unpleasant to the eye, because he was too arrogant. He didn't even put the 10 great clans in his eyes. Therefore, they colluded with Dong Qingyun to target Lu Jijin and the inner demons. But now, he suddenly felt that these two brothers were much better than Dong Qingyun. All right. Lu Jijin nodded and looked at Dong Qingyun with a smile. Don't be so agitated. My suggestion may be a good thing for the central dynasty. Giving 100,000 streams of origin force to Qin Feiyang with both hands, how can this be a good thing? Do you think we're all idiots? Dong Qingyun sneered. All right. If you say that, then I really think you're an idiot. Lu Jijin felt very helpless. Why did he always take the initiative to humiliate himself? He just stood quietly by the side and didn't make enemies with anyone. Did he feel uncomfortable? How dare you? Dong Qingyun gritted his teeth. A commander of a small team dared to humiliate him. The commander of the army. Bang! The origin force that the emperor gave him earlier suddenly appeared. Do you want to attack? I was worried that I couldn't find a chance to kill you. The inner demon sneered. Stop it. Are you done? The emperor and his wife shouted. They were still having internal strife. Did they realize the current situation? The central dynasty was on the verge of destruction. It's not that we want to cause trouble. It's someone who overestimates himself. He doesn't have any ability, but he likes to show off. He thinks he's smart. Especially his bootlicking skills. I really admire him from the bottom of my heart. That's the key. Our emperor really enjoys this person's flattery. Your Majesty, don't you think so? The inner demons looked at the emperor and laughed. The emperor's eyes darkened. It's over. His Majesty is angry. The inner demons panicked. He quickly looked at Lu Jijin and asked, brother, isn't what I said the truth? Don't tell the truth. Lu Jijin glared at the inner demons and sighed. He became the commander of the death god army by flattery. This is also a kind of ability. For example, you and I don't have this ability. We have to learn more from him. Brother, you're right. We'll learn more from him in the future. The inner demons nodded quickly. His eyes were full of ridicule. This conversation left the monarch and the others dumbfounded. They thought, the inner demons and Lu Jijin only dared to be arrogant in front of people like Dong Qingyun. They didn't expect that they would be so arrogant even in front of the emperor and his wife. They were indeed Qin Feiyang's inner demons and Qin Feiyang's cousin. At the same time, Dong Jinxiang and the others looked at the inner demons with more and more satisfaction. This was really hitting the nail on the head. What did Dong Qingyun do to deserve to be the commander of the death god army? In terms of brains, who here was worse than Dong Qingyun? In terms of strength, for example, Dong Hanzong, Lu Yuntian, Lu Yunfeng, Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, Dong Xian and Dong Qin. Who wasn't stronger than him? Even the monarchs, godly kings, and paragons were able to crush Dong Qingyuan without the help of their origin energy. Wasn't it because he was good at flattery that he could sit firmly on the throne of the Death God army and be used by the emperor? In the past, the 10 househeads were close to Dong Qingyuan, so they didn't think Dong Qingyuan was that bad. Now that they looked at him, he really was worthless. Your Majesty, do you see that? This is the danger I told you about before. Dong Qingyuan's strength is not enough to be the commander of the Death God army. Although no one said anything before, they were already dissatisfied. They were just waiting for a trigger. Dong Qingyuan isn't very smart. He doesn't have any strength, but he always likes to jump out and cause trouble. If you keep protecting him, I'm afraid one day he'll make everyone angry. Ji Sui saw everyone's dissatisfaction and disdain for Dong Qingyuan, and transmitted her voice to the emperor. She even noticed that Dong Hanzong, his student, looked at Dong Qingyuan with disdain. Suddenly, the emperor was very irritated. On one hand, it was because of Dong Qingyuan's stupidity. Why was he jumping around for no reason? Didn't he know these two brothers weren't easy to deal with? On the other hand, it was also because of the inner demons in Lu Jijin's impudence. Under everyone's watchful eyes, they said such insulting words. Wasn't it obvious they didn't give the emperor any face? Most importantly, he couldn't leave these two brothers alone. Moreover, Dong Qingyuan and the 10 househeads had a falling out. The 10 househeads hated Dong Qingyuan. If at this moment, he ran out and blamed this pair of brothers, the 10 patriarchs would definitely not hesitate to stand up and support this pair of brothers. Dong Qingyuan, step aside. Don't talk. No one will think you're mute. The emperor waved his hand. Your Majesty. Dong Qingyuan looked at the emperor in shock. Didn't you hear me? Do I need to say it again? The emperor was furious and shouted. Can't you see that I'm trying to help you? If I let you continue like this, I'm afraid I'll have to announce you'll be stripped of your position as commander. Dong Qingyuan's body trembled. He glared at the inner demons and stepped aside. Sigh. Why do I have such a stupid teacher? Even I feel ashamed. Dong Hanzong sighed. The emperor looked at Lu Jijin with a cold expression and said, Say it. I'd like to see what good ideas you have. Obviously, what he wanted to say was, if you can't satisfy me, don't blame me for being rude. Lu Jijin smiled faintly. He looked at everyone and said, Why are we so passive now? It's because we can't find the whereabouts of Qin Feiyang and the others. And this time to us is undoubtedly an opportunity. Opportunity? Everyone was stunned. That's right. Don't they want the origin energy? We can give it to them. Because we can also take this opportunity to encircle and annihilate them. Lu Jijin smiled. Take this opportunity to encircle and annihilate them. Everyone lowered their heads and pondered. Suddenly, the heavenly dragon god quivered. He looked up at the emperor and said, Your Majesty, this is indeed a good plan. If they want to obtain the origin energy, they must meet us. As long as they meet us, we can take the opportunity to kill them. When the emperor heard this, his eyes lit up. When he looked at Lu Jijin again, the previous displeasure disappeared in an instant and was replaced by admiration. This was a person who truly had the potential to be a great general. No matter what kind of situation he is facing, he can calmly think of a solution. Dong Hanzong looked at Lu Jijin unconvinced. How can I let you show off here alone? So, he looked at the emperor and the others and said, Although the plan is good, Qin Feiyang and the others may not be so easy to fool. When everyone heard this, they fell into deep thought again. Yes, although Qin Feiyang and the others are young, they are all cunning foxes. If they can think of it, these people will definitely think of it too. Lu Jijin glanced at Dong Hanzong. This person is really meddlesome. He smiled faintly and said, You're right. They certainly won't be so easy to fool, so we need to plan carefully. Seeing how confident you are, you should already have an idea in your heart. Say it for everyone to hear. Dong Hanzong chuckled. He didn't believe that Lu Jijin had a plan so quickly, so he wanted to embarrass Lu Jijin in public. Moreover, as long as Lu Jijin can't say it, the emperor will definitely be very disappointed in this person. At that time, he will have the opportunity to perform. Chapter 45-46. Lu Jijin looked at Dong Hanzong. This person seemed to be very active today. If it was any other time, it wouldn't be a big deal. But now it was hard not to overthink. because Dong Qingyuan had caused a lot of dissatisfaction. His position as the future Legion commander might not be guaranteed. If Dong Qingyuan abdicated, who would inherit the Death God Legion's Legion commander? Of course, it was to provoke the most outstanding person. The most outstanding person in the Central Dynasty was no doubt Dong Hanzong, the inner demons Lu Jijin, Dong Tianchun, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian. But Dong Tianchun, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian were bound by Qin Feiyang's blood oath and couldn't be entrusted with important tasks. Moreover, the three were descendants of the direct line of descent. Their status wasn't any lower than the Death God Legion's Legion commander. Therefore, in Dong Hanzong's eyes, the inner demons and Lu Jijin were the biggest threats. The inner demons were needless to say. They were powerful and talented. They created the Demon King's true body. And Lu Jijin, maybe his overall strength wasn't as good as the inner demons. But he was calm, smart, and had the strongest battle soul, the Eye of Void. Whether it was the Emperor Ji Suyi, they all looked at him with admiration. Most importantly, Dong Hanzong once heard Dong Qingyuan say that the emperor saw Lu Jijin and the inner demons as great talents. So, if Dong Qingyuan abdicated, the emperor would most likely let Lu Jijin or the inner demons inherit the Death God Legion's Legion commander. This would be Dong Hanzong's stumbling block. Therefore, he was eager to embarrass Lu Jijin. As long as Lu Jijin's performance wasn't satisfactory, Dong Hanzong would have a high chance of becoming the Death God Legion's Legion commander when Dong Qingyuan abdicated. This was Dong Hanzong's goal. That was why he was so active now. Seeing Lu Jijin looking at him, Dong Hanzong didn't panic and greeted him with a smile. "You're smiling, aren't you? Just you wait. One day you won't be able to smile," Lu Jijin muttered. In his eyes, this behavior was too childish. Child's play. The emperor looked at Lu Jijin expectantly and asked, "Lu Yunfeng, do you have a plan?" Lu Jijin was silent for a while and was about to speak. But at this moment, seeing that Lu Jijin was silent, Dong Hanzong smiled faintly and said, "If you don't have anything, just say it. Don't try to show off. No one will say anything about you. After all, time is short. How can an ordinary person come up with a comprehensive plan so quickly?" Lu Jijin looked at Dong Hanzong again, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Are you challenging my patience? If you keep jumping around like this, don't blame me for being impolite." However, Dong Hanzong didn't realize the danger he was in. He looked at Lu Jijin with a smile, and there was even a hint of provocation in his eyes. "Yes, I'm just an ordinary person. I'm not that smart. You, Dong Hanzong, are ranked first among the 5 peerless geniuses. You're definitely not an ordinary person. I'm sure you've already come up with a detailed plan. There's no need to be modest. Tell us about it." Lu Jijin smiled. He thought that Dong Hanzong would panic. Unexpectedly, he was as steady as Mount Tai. He nodded calmly and said, "I do have a plan." Lu Jijin was stunned. Could it be that he had underestimated this person? He wasn't as stupid as he seemed on the surface. The emperor and the others were also surprised and looked at Dong Hanzong. "My plan is that if the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. In short, we have to see Qin Feiyang in person before we take out the origin energy and exchange the hostages." Dong Hanzong smiled. Lu Jijin asked calmly, "What if he doesn't show up?" "It's impossible for him not to show up." Dong Hanzong smiled confidently and said, "Why did he kidnap Dong Xiaofeng and the others? He just wants the origin energy. If he doesn't show up, we won't give him the origin energy. Then, Dong Xiaofeng and the others will be worthless in his hands. You're gambling with Dong Xiaofeng and the others' lives. Because they have the initiative now. If we don't do as they say, they might be angry and kill Dong Xiaofeng and the others." Lu Jijin's face darkened as he looked at Dong Hanzong and said angrily. These words were not meant for Dong Hanzong, but for Dong Liming and the others. As expected. Hearing this, Dong Liming and the others were furious and glared at Dong Hanzong. Dong Jinxiang said in a deep voice, "What kind of bullshit plan is this? Are you not deliberately harming our children? Let me tell you, if anything happens to these children because of your cleverness, the 10 lineal families will not let you off." Hearing this, Dong Hanzong raised his eyebrows and was extremely annoyed. However, due to the identity of the 10 lineal family heads, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He could not afford to offend these people for the time being. Lu Yunfeng, what do you mean by this? With nowhere to vent, he could not help but point the spearhead at Lu Jiajin and ask through voice transmission, "What?" Lu Jiajin looked at him in confusion. Dong Hanzong thought to himself, since you can't beat me, you used the trick of sowing discord and made the 10 lineal family heads target me. What kind of man are you to use such despicable means? Lu Jiajin was stunned. Can't beat you? Aren't you overestimating yourself? I don't want to play with you at all. It's obvious that you came here again and again to ask for a rebuff. He had seen many self-righteous people in his life, but it was really the first time he met such a self-righteous person. He felt good about himself and was very outstanding. Little did he know that others did not take him seriously at all. Dong Hanzong's eyes flashed, looked up at the emperor, and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, Lu Yunfeng just told me through voice transmission that he actually has a plan in mind." Huh? Lu Jiajin was slightly stunned and looked at Dong Hanzong suspiciously. Did I say that? You're really shameless. You don't have any other skills, but your ability to lie through your teeth is first class. Hearing this, the emperor looked at Lu Jiajin unhappily and said, Lu Yunfeng, this is your fault. Since you have a plan, why don't you say it? Do you think we're not qualified to listen? No. Lu Jiajin hurriedly waved his hand and said with a smile, my plan is a little immature, so I'm embarrassed to say it. I'm afraid that everyone will laugh at me. So that's the case. The emperor suddenly understood and shook his head with a smile. It's okay, just say it. You really have a plan? Dong Hanzong frowned slightly. He initially wanted to embarrass Lu Jiajin, but he did not expect the other party to have a plan in mind. Did he shoot himself in the foot? No. How could he come up with a plan in such a short time? Even if it was an immature plan, it was impossible. This person must be forcing himself to hold on. Look at what you're saying. We're discussing now, not asking you to come up with a plan. Why would we laugh at you? Dong Hanzong said with a smile. Lu Jiajin glanced at Dong Hanzong, then at the emperor and his wife and said with a smile, the key to my plan is them. Saying this, he pointed at the king and boss Ji. The king, boss Ji, and a group of elders looked at Lu Jiajin with a blank expression. How did they get dragged into this? The emperor and his wife, the Kuan Peng, the dragon god, and Dong Liming also looked at Lu Jiajin in confusion. The enmity between Qin Feiyang and the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan was obvious to all. How could these people from the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan be the key? Although Qin Feiyang and the Purple Gold Divine Dragons have a deep grudge, it's undeniable that the blood of the Purple Gold Divine Dragons flows in Qin Feiyang's body. No one can cut it off. And as far as I know, Qin Badian is the king's grandson. With this relationship, I personally feel that it will be able to affect Qin Feiyang and the others to a certain extent. Lu Jiajin said. Are you saying that you'll hold the king and the elders hostage like Dong Tianqian in the 4 great continents to force Qin Feiyang and the others to show up? Are you kidding? They didn't fall for it last time. Why would they fall for it this time? Moreover, it's precisely because Dong Tianqian held the king and the others hostage in the 4 great continents that the creatures of the 4 great continents are against the central dynasty. How can we do such a stupid thing again? Dong Hanzong sneered. He was indeed stubborn. Otherwise, why would he come up with such a lousy plan? The emperor pondered for a moment and agreed with Dong Hanzong's point. This kind of thing could not be done again. Lu Jiajin glanced at Dong Hanzong and said with amusement, why are you so eager to show off? Can't you listen to me first before you express your opinion? Dong Hanzong's expression stiffened. A trace of hostility flashed in his eyes. Immediately, he squeezed out an apologetic look and nodded. Yes, I was too impatient. Please continue. But in his heart he sneered. Let's see what tricks you can play. Lu Jiajin glanced at the king and the others, then looked at the emperor and said with a smile, Your Majesty, the king and the others must be very tired on the way here. Why don't we let them rest first? The emperor was stunned. Lu Jiajin gave him a look. The emperor smiled. He was deliberately sending the king and the others away. Men, take the king and the others to rest. With the emperor's order, a guard outside immediately ran into the main hall, looked at the king and the others, and said with a respectful tone, Please follow me. Okay. The king and the other two nodded, turned to the guard and walked out. Boss Ji and the group of old men looked at each other and smiled and slowly followed. But when they passed by Lu Jijin, Ji Laosher couldn't help but ask, "What the hell are you doing?" "What else can I do? I just want to help my little cousin to get the 100,000 origin force." Lu Jijin laughed secretly. "Are you confident?" Ji Laosher asked secretly. "Yes. If Dong Hanzong didn't interfere, it might have been done by now. This person is too troublesome." Lu Jijin said secretly. "Since he is troublesome, then find a chance to get rid of him." Although the two were talking, Ji Laosher's footsteps did not stop. After saying that, he walked out of the main hall, followed the guard, and left without looking back. Get rid of? It's not that simple. Lu Jijin sighed secretly. Although Dong Hanzong was a loathsome person, when it came to preserving his life, he was quite good. There was simply no way to find an opportunity to kill him. Chapter 45-47. Why are you being so secretive? Dong Hanzong frowned. What was he trying to say? Everyone present knew that Lu Jijin had purposely sent the monarch and the others away, so they all looked at him suspiciously. "Speak," the emperor said. Lu Jijin said, "My plan is for the monarch to take the origin power and trade with Qin Feiyang." "What? You want the monarch to take the origin power and trade with Qin Feiyang?" Dong Hanzong was dumbfounded. What kind of brain did he have to come up with such a stupid plan? One should know. This was 100,000 strands of origin power. What if the monarch got greedy and decided to swallow them all? What do you mean? The emperor looked at Lu Jijin in confusion. Qin Feiyang is a careful man. Before exchanging hostages, he will definitely have Mu Qing use her all-seeing eye to spy on all of us. So no matter where we hide, he will know. But the monarch is different. The reason for that is because Qin Feiyang still doesn't know that the monarch and the others have already entered the central dynasty. Thus, he would definitely not have Mu Qing use her heavenly eyes to spy on the monarch and the others. This is an opportunity for us, Lu Jijin said. That makes sense. The monarch's eyes brightened. The 10 house leaders, Dragon God, and Kuimping all nodded. Ji Sui looked at Lu Jijin with satisfaction. Tell me the details. It's simple. First, we spread the news, set a location, and exchange the hostages. Second, the monarch will go to the location on our behalf. The Divine King, Human Sovereign, and Boss Ji will hide in the space items, waiting for the right moment. When the time comes, Mu Qing will use her all-seeing eye to spy on us and know that we are all at Imperial Capital Mountain. They will definitely lower their guard and head to the location of the transaction. Third step, when Qin Feiyang arrives at the location of the transaction and discovers that the person doing the transaction with him is actually the monarch, he will definitely be extremely shocked and surprised. At that time, the God Kings, Human Supremes, Boss Ji, and the others who are hiding in the dark will be able to ambush them. Of course, Qin Feiyang is not easy to deal with. Their ambush will succeed, but it doesn't matter. We only need the monarch and the others to pin down Qin Feiyang and prevent him from escaping. As for the fourth step, there's no need for me to mention it. After the monarch and the others pin down Qin Feiyang, we'll immediately rush over to provide support and encircle Qin Feiyang's group. In this way, not only can we save Dong Xiaofeng and the others, we can also eliminate them. Isn't this killing two birds with one stone? Lu Jijin smiled. Not bad, not bad. What? The monarch laughed. Without comparison, there would be no harm. After hearing Lu Jijin's plan and looking at Dong Hanzong's previous plan, it was on a completely different level. Because Lu Jijin's plan had taken into account all aspects, especially the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye was undoubtedly the most troublesome problem. And now, according to Lu Jijin's plan, they could perfectly avoid the threat of the all-seeing eye. Lu Jijin smiled again. Also, we can use this opportunity to test the loyalty of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan to the Central Dynasty. Test the loyalty of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan? Everyone was stunned. That's right. Qin Feiyang has the bloodline power of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon flowing in his body. As I said before, there is an inseparable relationship between them. So now, it is very necessary for us to test the loyalty of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. I mean, if they have other intentions, They may take action in the face of the temptation of the 100,000 strands of origin power. Lu Jijin smiled. That makes sense. Everyone nodded. The more they looked at Lu Jijin's performance, the more satisfied they were. How could this be? He came up with such a flawless plan in such a short time. I can't accept this. However, Dong Hanzong was going crazy. Although he didn't want to admit it, after listening to Lu Jijin's plan, even he couldn't help but admire it. Suddenly, his eyes flashed as he looked at Lu Jijin. This plan may not be able to save Dong Xiaofeng and the rest. What if Qin Feiyang and the rest are cornered and use the lives of Dong Xiaofeng and the rest to threaten us? He just didn't want to see Lu Jijin valued and appreciated by the emperor couple. Hearing this, the 10 patriarchs couldn't help but look at Lu Jijin. Lu Jijin smiled faintly and looked at the 10 patriarchs. You don't have to worry. Even if Qin Feiyang sees that the person making the deal with him is the nation lord, it won't affect anything. Of course, if it really happens, it will be an accident, as Dong Hanzong said. But I think that as long as we can successfully get rid of Qin Feiyang and the rest, Dong Xiaofeng and the rest sacrifice will be worth it. Because it's them who let us seize this good opportunity. They are the heroes of our central dynasty, revered by all generations. When the time comes, the status and prestige of the 10 great clans will also rise because of them. Although it's a little cruel, it's not a bad thing for the 10 major families. Patriarchs, what do you think? Lu Jijin looked at the 10 patriarchs and smiled faintly. The 10 patriarchs looked at each other. Sigh. Dong Jinxiang sighed and nodded. Since it's already like this, there's no other way. As long as we can get rid of Qin Feiyang and the rest, we can reluctantly accept the sacrifice of these children. You're really righteous. I admire you. Lu Jijin bowed. It's my duty. After all, I'm also a member of the central dynasty. Dong Jinxiang waved his hand. The emperor couple looked at each other and praised Lu Jijin even more. Your Majesty, do you see? This is the way to handle things. The old Dong Qingyun didn't know how to be tactful. He jumped out directly and opposed saving Dong Xiaofeng and the others. That would have made the patriarchs unhappy. Look at Lu Yunfeng now. He's reasonable and emotional. He's thinking about the 10 major families' benefits and reputation. With some flattery, the patriarchs will gradually accept this. So, when dealing with difficult situations, you need to use your brain. Ji Sui transmitted. Yes. The emperor nodded. Now, with Lu Jijin's guidance, even if Dong Xiaofeng and the others died at the hands of Qin Feiyang, the patriarchs wouldn't say anything. As expected. Wonderful. Brother Lu, I admire you. Suddenly, Dong Hanzong turned to Lu Jijin and bowed. Lu Jijin was surprised. That attitude was a bit strange. Who would have thought Brother Lu could come up with such a brilliant plan in such an urgent situation? Brother Lu, I hope you can forgive me for my previous offense. Dong Hanzong bowed, his attitude sincere. It's fine. Lu Jijin waved his hand. In his mind, he was wondering what this guy was up to. He didn't believe that Dong Hanzong would sincerely express goodwill to him. There must be something else hidden here. Your Majesty. Dong Qingyun suddenly knelt on the ground and looked up at the emperor. I hope your Majesty can let me carry out this plan. The emperor was surprised. Let you carry it out? This plan was Lu Yunfeng's idea. How could he let you carry it out? Lu Jijin and the inner demons were also surprised. What the hell is this guy doing? The inner demons were puzzled. Lu Jijin's eyes flashed as he laughed. What else can he do? He just wants to take the opportunity to perform well, and let the emperor couple see him in a new light. He really wants to be the emperor's son-in-law? The inner demons' mouth twitched. Isn't this his ambition? Lu Jijin smiled faintly. Then we can't let him get what he wants. We came up with the plan. Why should we let him do it? The inner demon sneered secretly. No. We have to fulfill his wish. That's because this matter truly requires him to do it himself. Lu Jijin hurriedly waved his hand. Why? The inner demons didn't understand. Think about it. No matter how perfect our plan is, it will fail in the end. If we carry it out ourselves and the plan fails, who will bear the responsibility? It will definitely be us. So we have to find a scapegoat. I was wondering who should be the scapegoat, but I didn't expect Dong Hanzong to come forward himself. Why should we be polite to him? Lu Jejin laughed secretly. I see. The inner demons had a sudden realization. Although Lu Jejin's plan seemed to be to help the central dynasty on the surface, in fact, there was only one purpose, and that was to help Qin Feiyang obtain the 100,000 strands of origin source. Therefore, this plan would definitely end in failure. They couldn't possibly help the central dynasty to kill Qin Feiyang and the rest. However, they still had to put on a show. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too unusual to give it to Dong Hanzong so easily? Dong Hanzong, can you be more shameless? You didn't have a part in coming up with the plan. Now that the plan is out and it's time to carry it out, you run faster than anyone else. Why? Do you want to take the credit so badly? The inner demons looked at Dong Hanzong and sneered. Who said that I want to take the credit? I'm taking the lead and working for the central dynasty and the divine kingdom. Dong Hanzong straightened his back and said righteously. The corners of the inner demons' mouth twitched. This person's shamelessness was really unparalleled. He obviously wanted to take the credit and perform well in front of the emperor and his wife, but he made it sound so righteous. If it were someone who didn't know, they might be moved to tears. This matter, the emperor pondered for a while and looked at Dong Hanzong. It's better to carry it out. Your Majesty, please think twice. Although Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian are smart, after all they are outsiders. If you let them carry it out, when Qin Feiyang and the rest are killed, there may be a hidden danger of them overshadowing their master. Dong Qingyuan, who was silent at the side, saw that the emperor intended to let Lu Jejin carry it out. He couldn't help but immediately send a message to the emperor. Heard. The emperor's heart skipped a beat. This kind of situation might really happen. Although Dong Hanzong is a collateral relative, in any case the blood of the Dong family flows in his body. Moreover, you have seen Dong Hanzong's loyalty to you with your own eyes. But Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng are different. Both brothers are arrogant and unruly. Once their merit overshadows their master, it will be even harder to control them in the future. Dong Qingyuan continued to instigate. The emperor's eyes flashed. He turned to Lu Jejin and said with a smile, "This plan was made by you, so I think I should respect your opinion. I will let whoever you want carry it out." It was obvious. He listened to Dong Qingyuan's words. Chapter 45-48. Sigh. Lu Jejin sighed. He was thoroughly disappointed in the emperor. On the surface, he respected his choice and let him make the decision. But in reality, he wanted Dong Hanzong to carry out the plan. Otherwise, why would the emperor say that? Just appoint him and the inner demon to carry out the orders. This was the emperor's way. You think he's really respecting you? No. He's threatening you. He's telling you to be smart. I'm just a squad leader. I don't have the rallying power of the vice commander, nor can I compare to the vice commander. So let the vice commander do it. Lu Jejin shook his head. Dong Hanzong smiled, satisfied. You know what's good for you. In that case, the emperor looked around and shouted, "Everyone heed my order. Assist Dong Hanzong. We must use this opportunity to take the heads of Qin Feiyang and the others." Yes. Everyone bowed. Then let's get to work. The emperor waved his hand, and the group immediately turned and left. Ji Sui watched the inner demons and Lu Jejin leave, and asked, "Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this? Isn't this burning the bridge after crossing the river?" I know. But Dong Qingyuan's words make sense. A person with a different surname can't overshadow his master. The emperor's eyes were sharp. The divine kingdom could only have one master, and that was the Dong family. Overshadowing their masters, Ji Sui murmured and shook her head. I'm afraid your favoritism will make them unhappy sooner or later. These two brothers, whether it was strength or ability, were geniuses of all time. Such people should be put to good use. Outside, Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan walked together. Dong Qingyuan transmitted, "Hanzong, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must perform well. Don't let this happen again." "Teacher, don't worry. If such a flawless plan fails, then I'm useless." Dong Hanzong smiled confidently. He looked at the inner demons and Lu Jejin, who were talking to the 10 house heads. His eyes flashed with mockery. Brother Lu, wait. The inner demons and Lu Jijin were stunned. They stopped and turned to look at Dong Hanzong suspiciously. The 10 patriarchs stopped as well. They looked at Dong Qingyuan and Li Qia with a hint of disgust in their eyes. Dong Hanzong stepped forward and smiled. Many thanks for Brother Lu's help. Nothing. Lu Jijin shook his head. Don't act like you don't care. If you're angry, just vent it out. It's uncomfortable to hold it in. Dong Hanzong chuckled. You're not done? The inner demons raised their eyebrows. Haha. Dong Hanzong raised his head and laughed heartily. He then said, although you are not convinced, this matter is already a foregone conclusion. Moreover, you have also heard His Majesty's previous order. You must assist me with all your strength. Assist you? The inner demons were full of disdain. Do you think a piece of trash like you is qualified to ask for our help? I know you are very unwilling, but this is His Majesty's order. Do you dare to disobey? Dong Hanzong sneered. Using the emperor to pressure us? Dong Hanzong, you are still too naive. You can only rely on the emperor's power to intimidate others. Don't say that. The two of you are quite similar. Sure enough, it proves the old saying that birds of a feather flock together. The inner demons looked at the two of them mockingly. Dong Hanzong's eyes darkened. Dong Qingyuan could not help but clench his fists. What are you doing? You want to take their credit and bully them? When the 10 patriarchs saw this, they stood beside the inner demons and said angrily, How dare I? Dong Hanzong sneered and looked at the inner demons and said, Without your help, this time I can still kill Qin Feiyang and the others. Just wait for my celebration. Haha, as soon as he finished speaking, he left with a maniacal laugh. Dong Qingyuan glanced at inner demon mockingly, then strode away. The dragon god and Kuan-Peng looked at each other and said to the inner demons, Lu Yuntian, Lu Yunfeng, this is a personal grudge between you and Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong. Don't drag us into it. Don't worry, we brothers are not people who can't distinguish right from wrong. Lu Jijin smiled faintly. That's good. You two are very strong. But unfortunately, after all, you are not of the same surname. Take it easy because Kuan-Peng and I have been through this all along. The two of them shook their heads and sighed. They patted the inner demons and Lu Jijin's shoulders and then quickly left. In other words, although they were highly valued by the emperor now, they had been ostracized like inner demon in the past. They had been wronged, because although they were divine beasts, they were not members of the Dong clan. This pair of master and disciple are too much. I've seen countless people in my life, but I've never seen such shameless people. Don't be angry. From now on, the 10 main families will be the support of you two brothers. As long as we support you, even the emperor won't dare to do anything to you. The 10 family patriarchs stared at the backs of Dong Qingyuan and Kuan-Peng and said angrily, Thank you. Lu Jijin smiled gratefully. You're too polite. It's our turn to thank you. If it weren't for your help, our children would have been dead. Although it's hard to say whether they'll live or die now, at least there's a glimmer of hope. The 10 of them sighed. I can understand. After all, as parents, who doesn't care about their children? Lu Jijin smiled. Yes, we want to turn a blind eye, but we're not as ruthless as the emperor. We can't do it. All right, we'll go back first. If you have time, come visit our clan. The 10 of them invited him in a friendly manner. Okay, Lu Jijin nodded. After sending off the 10 family patriarchs, Lu Jijin and the inner demons smiled. Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, do you really think you can succeed this time? Don't worry. The best part is yet to come. When the time comes, you'll be crying. Lu Jijin slowly raised his head and looked at the clear sky. He said telepathically, however, I've had enough of these scheming days. I really want to go back to the Great Qin Empire now and throw away all my worries. I want to live a peaceful life with my family. The inner demons was silent for a while. He put his arm around Lu Jijin's shoulder and laughed. Don't worry, it won't be long. Haha. Lu Jijin smiled. Then, the two of them stepped into the air and gradually disappeared into the vast mountains. The Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Jijin and the inner demons and said in surprise, They've already entered the Central Dynasty? Yes. Lu Jijin nodded and smiled. and each of them obtained a strand of origin power. Qin Feiyong was shocked and shook his head. What can one strand of origin power do? It's not useful. But this time we've gathered a lot of useful information. First, the origin power. The emperor and his wife have 2 million strands of origin power, but they've used up a lot over the years. They only have 1 million strands left. Lu Jijin smiled. That much? Qin Feiyong was shocked. If he'd known, he would have asked for more. Lu Jijin asked, "How much origin power did you get from Ji Suyi?" "I don't know. It's all in the white-eyed wolf's hands. You know his personality. He won't even let us touch him." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Lu Jijin and the inner demons looked at each other. This was the white-eyed wolf's personality. Lu Jijin said. Ji Sui said at the imperial palace that there were 300,000 strands. I'm not sure if she was exaggerating. Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered. With a thought, the white-eyed wolf appeared. "What are you doing? Can't you see I'm fusing with the inheritance?" The white-eyed wolf glared at Qin Feiyong. "Shut up." Qin Feiyong glared at him and asked, "How much origin power did Ji Sui give us? What do you want?" The white-eyed wolf retreated and stared at Qin Feiyong with caution. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. The inner demons and Lu Jijin were speechless. Why was he acting like a coward protecting its food? "I'm not asking. I just want to confirm. How much did you get?" Qin Feiyong fumed. "Is that so? You should have said so earlier. You scared me." The white-eyed wolf sighed in relief and grinned at Qin Feiyong's group. "About 330,000 strands. So it's a third." Lu Jijin nodded. "That's still a problem. Even if we get the 100,000 strands of origin power, we'll only have 430,000 strands. That's less than half of what the emperor and his wife have." Qin Feiyong frowned. "Although that's the case, our strength is also gradually increasing. And this time, if the plan fails, Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong, those two self-righteous idiots, will incur the emperor's wrath. When that happens, the inner demons and I will have a high chance of becoming the Death God Army's commander and vice-commander." Lu Jijin chuckled. "Really?" Qin Feiyong's eyes brightened. If the two of them really became the Death God Army's commander and vice-commander, they would basically control the life and death of the entire Death God Army. If there's no accident, it should be us. Lu Jijin pondered for a while, and his tone became uncertain. "Then you can do it. The moment you become the commander, we'll be able to control the Death God Army's roar." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. As long as they could control the Death God Army, the experts that the emperor had painstakingly cultivated would become a sharp blade in their hands. "We'll do our best." Lu Jijin nodded with a smile. Thinking about it carefully, he really didn't have much confidence. Because from the emperor's attitude in the imperial palace, he knew that he wouldn't easily put people with different surnames in important positions. The inner demons smirked. "We've done what we should do. Now it's up to you." "Okay. We'll definitely put on a good show for them." Qin Feiyong nodded. The inner demons and Big Cousin had set up the trap, and the emperor and his people had successfully entered it. The next thing would be simple. Chapter 45-49. On the same day, a storm broke out in the Central Dynasty. Have you heard? Qin Feiyong kidnapped the children of the 10 patriarchs in the 8 Immortal Mountain. What? There's such a thing? You're not joking with me? Why would I joke with you? Besides, do I look like I'm joking with you? People were talking about it. Was this Qin Feiyong really so undisciplined and out of control that no one could stop him? It hadn't been long since the battle in the 10,000 Demons Valley, and now there was such a big commotion. Which one of the children of the 10 patriarchs wasn't a noble? Even if only one of them was kidnapped by Qin Feiyong, it would cause a strong reaction, let alone 10. Was he going to wipe out the 10 patriarchs in one fell swoop? In a restaurant, 2 men and a woman were sitting around a table. They were Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, and Dong Exine. Although Qin Feiyong and the others had been in the Central Dynasty for so long, they hadn't shown up. They even chose to hide at home when they were besieging Qin Feiyong in the 10,000 Demons Valley. Because they were afraid. They were afraid that once they showed up, they would be targeted by Qin Feiyong. After all, they were now bound by the blood oath. If Qin Feiyong wanted them to do something, They wouldn't dare to disobey. The three of them remained silent. There was a pot of divine tea on the table in front of them, and the strong tea aroma floated in the air, but they didn't have the slightest appetite. What's wrong with Qin Feiyang? Back in the 4 great continents, didn't we agree that he wouldn't hurt our family? Now why did he kidnap our brother and sister? Dong Ping looked extremely angry. Dong Tianchun, Dong Ping, and Dong Exine were members of the 10 patriarchs, so Dong Xiaofeng and the others were their family members. I'm afraid he has already forgotten his promise to us. Dong Exine snorted. No matter what, we have to save Dong Tianpeng and Dong Sha. Dong Tianchun took a deep breath and looked at Dong Ping and Dong Exine. How? Even if we go to Qin Feiyang to discuss it, we have to find his hiding place first. Dong Ping frowned. Everyone in the Central Dynasty was looking for Qin Feiyang, but no one could find him. These people were really powerful. Once they disappeared, it was as if they had vanished from the face of the earth. Just as the three of them were at their wits' end, Dong Tianchun's divine sound transmission stone moved. Dong Tianchun was taken aback. He quickly took out the divine sound transmission stone. Wang, a square-faced middle-aged man appeared. Lord Father. Looking at the middle-aged man, Dong Tianchun and Dong Ping immediately stood up and bowed. Where are you? The middle-aged man frowned. Dong Tianchun replied honestly, we are discussing with Dong Exine how to rescue little brother and Dong Sha. Nonsense. Didn't I tell you to stay out of this? You are now bound by the blood oath. What if you meet Qin Feiyang and he asks you to betray the Central Dynasty? The middle-aged man said angrily, but we can't just leave him to die. Dong Tianchun frowned. Sigh. I am very happy that you are so considerate. But now you have to keep a low profile and not attract Qin Feiyang's attention. But don't worry too much. We have a plan to deal with them. The middle-aged man said. What plan? Dong Tianchun and the other two looked at each other and quickly looked at the middle-aged man with anticipation. The plan is complicated. We will talk about it when you come back. In short, this time Qin Feiyang will die without a doubt. As long as he is dead, you will be free. At that time, you have to work harder and suppress Dong Hanzong's arrogance. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Dong Hanzong? Dong Tianchun and the other two were stunned. Dong Ping's eyes flashed coldly, and he said in a deep voice, what did Dong Hanzong do to you? He was extremely arrogant in the imperial palace. And this time, His Majesty appointed him to carry out this plan. Once Qin Feiyang is eliminated successfully, his weight in the emperor's heart will rise again. So you have to work hard in the future. Otherwise, your sharpness will be overshadowed by him. You are the descendants of the main family, and he is just a pariah. You can't let him ride on your heads. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Understood. We will go back now. Dong Tianchun turned off the voice transmission stone and turned to look at Dong Exin and said, then we will go back first. Keep in touch. Okay. Dong Exin nodded. At this moment the three of them were very excited. They were eager to know what the plan was, because it was related to their freedom. Originally, with the strength of the three of them, they could have become the main force to encircle Qin Feiyang and the others, but because of the existence of the blood oath, they did not dare to make the slightest move. The blood oath was like a thorn that kept stabbing into their hearts. This kind of grievance almost made them break down. The next day, early morning, another news spread in the Central Dynasty. The emperor agreed to Qin Feiyang's condition. The time was set to be 3 days later at the 8 Immortal Mountain, and the place was still the same. As soon as the news came out, countless people rushed to the 8 Immortal Mountain in advance to join in the fun. When they arrived at the 8 Immortal Mountain, they found that the scenery had already been destroyed. Many people expressed that it was a pity. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Early in the morning, Imperial Capital Mountain, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, the Dragon God, and the Kuanpeng gathered in a hall. Why don't I see Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng? The Dragon God glanced at the door and said suspiciously, I have already sent someone to inform them. Dong Qingyuan said lightly, Teacher, isn't it better that they are not here? Dong Hanzong said with a smile. That's true. Dong Qingyuan nodded with a smile. Looking at this master and disciple, The dragon god and the Kuan Peng also inexplicably felt disgusted. Whoosh! Soon, a member of the death god army rushed into the hall. Where are they? Dong Qingyuan asked. The member of the death god army hesitated for a moment, and finally said truthfully, Lu Yunfeng said that they are not feeling well today, so they did not want to come. Not feeling well? Dong Qingyuan raised his eyebrows. As a heavenly will expert, how could there be a problem with his body? Even if he wanted to find an excuse, he should not be so perfunctory. Ignore them. Dong Hanzong waved his hand and turned to look at the Kuan Peng and the dragon god, saying, Have you arranged the beast kings and beast kings below? They are all on standby. The two nodded. Good. Our death god army is also fully armed. As long as we give the order, we will immediately attack the 8 Immortal Mountain. Dong Hanzong smiled coldly. Although the plan is very thorough, we can't be careless. The Kuan Peng kindly reminded. You don't think that they can make a comeback, do you? Dong Hanzong sneered. The Kuan Peng frowned. Our entire death god army, the dragon god, the beast kings and beast kings of the Kuan Peng Sea region, and the 10 lineal families are all ready. Moreover, we have the help of the king and the others. His Majesty the King and Empress will definitely not stand by and do nothing. You can say that. This time our lineup is even stronger than the last time in the Myriad Demons Valley. Even if they can defy the heavens, they will not be able to escape this time. Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan's eyes flashed with strong murderous intent. This time they were determined to win. The Kuan Peng and the dragon god saw this scene and did not bother to say anything else. As long as you and your master are happy. Whoosh! This time, another group of people broke through the air and entered the main hall one after another. The leader was a member of the death god army. Behind him were the king, the divine king, Zun, Boss Ji, and a group of elders. Army commander, everyone is here. The member of the death god army looked at Dong Qingyuan and said respectfully, You may leave. Dong Qingyuan waved his hand. Yes. After the member of the death god army left the main hall, Dong Qingyuan looked at the king and the others and said with a smile, Everyone, have you rested well these few days? Not bad. The king nodded lightly. He naturally did not have a good impression of Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong. If you have rested well, then let's get ready to move. According to the original plan, the divine king, Zun, and the elders will first enter the king's spatial divine item and wait for the critical moment to give Qin Feiyang a fatal blow. This time, whether or not we can kill Qin Feiyang depends on you, so please do your best. Dong Hanzong said. Okay. The divine king and Zun nodded. The king waved his hand, and the divine king Zun, Boss Ji, and the others immediately disappeared. Dong Hanzong looked at the king and said with a smile, Take out the divine voice stone. The king quietly took out the divine voice stone. The two established a contract bridge, and Dong Hanzong said with a smile, When the time is right, immediately send us a message. Let's go to the Imperial Palace now and find His Majesty to get the 100,000 strands of origin energy. After a slight pause, Dong Hanzong continued, I'll say the ugly words first. This is not only to kill Qin Feiyang, but also a test for the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. You must seize the opportunity. Test? The king was puzzled. This is something that everyone knows. There's no need to say it out loud. Dong Hanzong said with a smile. The king looked at Dong Hanzong indifferently. Of course he knew this, because the inner demons and Lu Jijin had already told him the night before. The reason why he looked puzzled was that he was playing dumb. Go. I believe that you must be looking forward to the day when Qin Feiyang is killed. Dong Hanzong laughed. Yes, I've been looking forward to it. The king nodded, turned around, and flew out of the hall, and flew toward the imperial palace without looking back. Looking forward to it? Yes, I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not looking forward to killing Qin Feiyang. I'm looking forward to the day when the central dynasty is destroyed. 8 Immortal Mountain. At this moment, the sky above the surrounding mountains was already filled with a sea of people. Say, what conditions do you think Qin Feiyang proposed? I don't know. The news from the imperial capital mountain is that they agreed to Qin Feiyang's conditions, but they didn't say what the specific conditions were. I guess this condition is definitely not ordinary. Maybe Qin Feiyang and the others asked for a lot of inheritances of the ultimate profound. Inheritances? You must be joking. Long Chun has the means to strip others of their ultimate profound. Why would he need inheritances? For a moment, it was very noisy here. Chapter 45-50. Buzz. Suddenly, a space-time tunnel appeared. The scene quieted down. Everyone looked at the space-time tunnel and held their breath. They didn't know if the person was from the Imperial Capital Mountain or Qin Feiyang's group. At this moment, even time seemed to have stopped. Finally, a figure walked out of the space-time tunnel. It was the monarch. Everyone's expression froze. Who was this person? They had never seen him before. Although the monarch was a household name in the 4 great continents, not many people in the Central Dynasty knew him, because he had never appeared in the Central Dynasty. People from the Central Dynasty might have heard of the monarch before, but if you were to talk about the monarch himself, there were not many who had seen him in person. He couldn't have been sent by Qin Feiyang, right? Because they didn't know the monarch, they thought he was Qin Feiyang's accomplice. The monarch didn't say anything when he heard these discussions. He looked around and waited silently. At the same time, the Divine King, Jizun, Boss Ji and the others who were hiding in the space divine item were also paying attention to the situation outside. And they weren't nervous at all. They were talking and laughing. It's really incredible. How long has it been since they came to the Central Dynasty? They actually made a name for themselves. Even the emperor and his wife can't do anything to them, the Divine King said as he sipped his tea. His face was full of gratification. He didn't misjudge them. These kids were all talents. That's right. I was worried when I heard they were going to enter the Central Dynasty. After all, the Central Dynasty is much stronger than the 4 great continents. But I didn't expect that they could still make a name for themselves in the Central Dynasty. The human race sovereign shook his head and smiled. His choice back then was indeed correct. Otherwise, the 4 great continents would have been in a terrible situation. The human race, the god race, and the purple gold divine dragon race would have followed in the footsteps of the sea race and the beast race. You guys have been talking for a long time. It's all because of the good genes of the purple gold divine dragon race. Boss Ji looked at the two proudly. The Divine King and Jizun were stunned. Could it be related to the genes of the purple gold divine dragon clan? Am I wrong? Qin Feiyang is a descendant of the purple gold divine dragon clan. Naturally, he inherited the excellent foundation of the purple gold divine dragon clan. That's why he's so outstanding. Old Ji said proudly. The Divine King was unconvinced. Even if they were seniors, they shouldn't be so narcissistic. He said, let's not talk about Qin Feiyang for now. He might really be related to the genes of your purple gold divine dragon clan. But Golden Winged Wolf King, Madman, Long Chan, and the others shouldn't be related to your purple gold divine dragon clan. He had heard of it. Ji Lauscher's expression froze. From what we've gathered in the past few days, Goldwing Wolf King, Madman, and the others have all improved by leaps and bounds. Especially Lunatic and Long Chan. The peak state of the all-evil sword can actually compete with the origin force. Long Chen's God's domain can even control the rule power of the Divine Kingdom. People like you and me are far from being their opponents. The Divine King shook his head. In the past few days, they had gathered information about what Qin Feiyang and the others had done in the Central Dynasty. They were both nervous and relieved. They were nervous because the situation of these kids in the Central Dynasty was too dangerous. They were relieved because no matter how dangerous it was, they could survive and become stronger than before. Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Madman, Mu Qing, Long Chan, Li Feng and Long Qing gathered in the tea garden. Mu Qing was using the all-seeing eye to spy on the whereabouts of the emperor and the others. Achoo! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang sneezed. What's wrong? White-Eyed Wolf looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang rubbed his nose and said with a smile, maybe someone is thinking about me. I know they must be thinking about your death. White-Eyed Wolf bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and he rolled his eyes. Phew. At this time, Mu Qing exhaled and slowly closed the all-seeing eye. How is it? Qin Feiyang asked. As expected, the emperor and his wife, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Dragon God, and Kuimping are all in the imperial capital mountain. Only the monarch is in the 8 immortal mountain. The divine king and the others are also lurking in the monarch space divine item, according to the plan. Mu Qing said. What about the inner demons and big cousin? Qin Feiyang asked. Mu Qing said with a strange expression, they are now, with the moon immortal princess. The group of people looked at each other. Mu Qing said, they are playing chess and drinking tea. It seems that they are quite relaxed. Moon immortal princess. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, this woman is a good chess piece. Chess piece? White-eyed Wolf was stunned. Think about it, when the plan fails, will they look for the reason? With Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan's personalities, it is very likely that they will push the blame to the inner demons and big cousin. At that time they will say that the inner demons and big cousin may have leaked the news. And now they are with the moon immortal princess. If Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong target them, the moon immortal princess can testify for them. Qin Feiyang chuckled. White-eyed Wolf pondered for a while and asked, you mean they are deliberately with the moon immortal princess now? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Two cunning guys. White-eyed Wolf grimaced and said, should we go to the 8 immortals mountain now? We can't let the king wait too long, or he will definitely say that we don't know how to respect the old. No hurry. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked up at Long Chan. He said with a smile, Brother Long, before we go to the 8 immortals mountain, I need you to do something for me. What is it? Long Chen was puzzled. Qin Feiyang got up and walked to Long Chen's ear and whispered a few words. What are they whispering about? White-eyed Wolf and the others looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Chen curiously. After a while, Long Chen's mouth twitched slightly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I think you must be an old fox in your previous life. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, that shouldn't be considered derogatory, right? No, I'm praising you. Long Chen waved his hand and couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. He looked at White-eyed Wolf and the others and said, then you guys can stay in the Black Tortoise realm first. Maybe I don't need you to do anything. So confident? White-eyed Wolf and the others were stunned. Nothing unexpected, right? Long Chen smiled faintly. Then Qin Feiyang waved his hand and swept Long Chen up. They instantly disappeared without a trace, leaving White-eyed Wolf and the others in a daze in the tea garden. Did he really leave them here? Fine. Let's see what tricks you can play. Soul Sealing Valley. Two figures descended in the sky. It was Qin Feiyang and Long Chen. The two lowered their heads and glanced at the souls suppressed in the Soul Sealing Valley. Soon, they locked onto one of the souls. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the soul immediately rose into the air and flew uncontrollably in front of the two. See Python Demon Emperor, after all these years in the Black Tortoise realm, have you gotten used to it? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. That's right. This was the Sea Python Demon Emperor's soul. You guys will die a horrible death. The Sea Python Demon Emperor's eyes were filled with hatred. As one of the 10 great demon emperors of the Kuanpeng Sea region, he had actually fallen to such a state. For him it was simply a stain that could not be washed away in his lifetime. Right now he also wanted to die. His ultimate profound was taken away and he was suppressed in such a damned place. Although it had only been a few years outside in the Black Tortoise realm, 5,000 years of time was equivalent to millions of years of time. In other words, he had been suppressed in the Soul Sealing Valley for millions of years. What kind of concept was that? Not to mention millions of years, even a few years in a place like the Soul Sealing Valley was worse than death. Moreover, the Sea Python Demon Emperor was also the first will of the Heavens powerhouse suppressed in the Soul Sealing Valley since Qin Feiyang entered the Central Dynasty. Don't curse others to die so easily. It's rude. I also know that you are now bent on dying. This time I will fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What do you want to do? The Sea Python Demon Emperor suddenly became vigilant. He was not afraid of death now, but he was afraid that Qin Feiyang had other schemes. Don't be nervous. Soon you will be free. Qin Feiyang chuckled and turned to look at Long Chen. Long Chen waved his hand and activated the soul controlling technique. This is, the Sea Python Demon Emperor's expression changed and without hesitation, he immediately prepared to destroy his soul. But Qin Feiyang had already expected it and suppressed it. Long Chun successfully controlled it. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang selected the divine souls of 10 beasts and let Long Chun control them one by one. After that, Qin Feiyang moved his mind and the mermaid princess immediately appeared beside him. What's wrong? The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Help me reconstruct their bodies. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay. With the help of the Eye of Life, the bodies of the Sea Python Demon Emperor and the 10 beasts were reconstructed in a few seconds. Qin Feiyang glanced at the Sea Python Demon Emperor and the 10 ferocious beasts before lowering his head to look at the mermaid princess. His eyes were filled with tenderness as he asked, "Have you fused with the law of light and darkness's ultimate inheritance that I asked Hualien to give you?" "Yes." The mermaid princess nodded and said, "But I don't think it's necessary to give it to me." "What do you mean?" "You are the person I care about the most. I must take good care of you and protect you," Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess blushed. "Ahem. I say you'd better consider the feelings of a single dog like me." Long Chun coughed dryly. Showing off their affection in front of him? That's not very appropriate. See, we're being laughed at by Brother Long Chun. The mermaid princess glared at Qin Feiyang with dissatisfaction. "What are you afraid of?" "I just want to torture him, a single dog." He's obviously a talented man with extraordinary talent, but he's not in a hurry at all. Qin Feiyang smiled proudly at Long Chun. The corner of Long Chun's mouth twitched and he turned his head to look elsewhere. Out of sight, out of mind. But when he turned his head, there seemed to be a flash of tenderness in his eyes. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not. Haha. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh and sent the mermaid princess back. Then, he looked at the Sea Python Demon Emperor and said, "You change into my appearance?" "Yes." The Sea Lion Demon Emperor, who was controlled by the soul controlling technique, was particularly obedient. Qin Feiyang looked at the other 10 beasts and ordered, "You guys also change into the appearance of Dong Xiaofeng and the other 10. That's right. He had no intention of returning Dong Xiaofeng and the other 10 to the emperor. These 10 people were all descendants of the 10 direct descendants of the 10 families. Keeping them alive would sooner or later become a disaster, especially Dong Xiaofeng. Although Tianqian City was indeed not massacred by them, Dong Xiaofeng hated him to the bone. After the Sea Python Demon Emperor and the 10 beasts changed into the appearance of Qin Feiyang and Dong Xiaofeng, Qin Feiyang looked at them for a while. Their temperament seemed to be a little wrong, so he asked them to change their temperament. Finally, after confirming that there were no flaws, he left the Black Tortoise realm with Long Chun. Chapter 45-51. Why isn't he here yet? Could it be that he's scared and decided to back out? 8 Immortal Mountain. The king wasn't in a hurry, but the onlookers couldn't wait any longer. Back out? Looks like you guys don't know our strength. We were able to escape from the battle in the Thousand Demons Valley, let alone a deal. Suddenly, a sneer was heard. Everyone was stunned and quickly turned around to look at the source of the sound, only to see a white figure flying through the air like lightning. Qin Feiyang. The pupils of everyone present could not help but shrink. To think that he came here alone. He's got guts. Are you stupid? Don't you know he has a Black Tortoise world? I heard that the Black Tortoise world is an independent world. What? An independent world? Doesn't that mean he's the ruler of a world? What do you think? On the surface he came alone, but in reality everyone is in his Black Tortoise world. Everyone whispered, their eyes filled with fear. When Qin Feiyang arrived, the onlookers immediately opened up a path for him. Qin Feiyang smiled as he calmly walked through the crowd. His thick black hair fluttered in the wind, and his body exuded an elegant aura. Let's not talk about anything else. Just his temperament alone is 1 in a million. Someone couldn't help but praise. Yeah. He's probably the only person in the world who can be so calm when facing the Central Dynasty alone. If he's from the Central Dynasty, who knows how many young men and women will fall for him. His Majesty will definitely put him in an important position. If he's really from the Central Dynasty, then he's the #1 person in the Divine Kingdom. Even Dong Hanzong, the 5 unparalleled geniuses, is overshadowed by him. People whispered. As enemies, they couldn't help but admire Qin Feiyang. It wasn't hard to imagine how amazing Qin Feiyang's performance in the Central Dynasty was. Finally, passing through the crowd, Qin Feiyang landed in front of the monarch. Surprised, he asked, "Monarch, why are you in the Central Dynasty?" "What? Your Majesty." Could he be the monarch of the 4 great continents, the leader of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan? Everyone looked at the monarch suspiciously when they heard how he addressed him. Although they didn't know who the monarch was, there were still quite a number of people who knew the monarch's name. Surprised? You're not the only ones who can enter the Central Dynasty. The monarch looked at Qin Feiyang and sneered coldly. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "So to speak, you came all the way from the 4 continents to the Central Dynasty to kill us? What do you think?" The king sneered. "I really don't understand. You and I are connected by blood. Why do you keep helping the Central Dynasty deal with me? I'm telling you, don't challenge my limits." Qin Feiyang's eyes were gloomy. "Haha, connected by blood. That's just wishful thinking on your part. My Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan will never acknowledge your identity. To the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, the Qin clan is a disgrace to us because you've tainted the bloodline power of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. As for why I'm helping the Central Dynasty, do you even need to ask? I'm the monarch of the Divine Kingdom. If I don't help the Central Dynasty, should I help you? If my own son dares to threaten the interests of the Divine Kingdom, let alone you, I'll kill him without hesitation." The monarch roared, his killing intent soaring to the sky. Well said. As expected of the monarch of the Divine Kingdom, the ruler of the 4 great continents, the onlookers couldn't help but clap and cheer. Looks like the monarch has no problem. Not all of the onlookers were here to join in the fun. Some of them were spies sent by the emperor. They hid in the crowd and observed the situation. At the same time, they were monitoring the monarch. Hearing the monarch's righteous words, the spies couldn't help but smile. Good. In that case, I have nothing more to say. From now on, it's either you die or I die. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and said, "You must be the one who came to make the deal with me. Take out the origin energy." "I want to see the people first," the monarch said. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Dong Xiaofeng and the other 10 people immediately appeared. It's really them. They've all become Qin Feiyang's captives. This is too unlucky. Everyone murmured. "You've seen the people. Now let me see the origin energy," Qin Feiyang said. The monarch waved his hand, and a cloud of origin energy immediately appeared. It floated in front of the monarch like a cloud, shining with 7-colored divine light and emitting a shocking aura. This is the origin energy? Could this be the condition that Qin Feiyang offered? As expected of Qin Feiyang, the other divine objects are nothing to him. Everyone stared at the origin energy, and their eyes shone with greed. If they could get the origin energy, they could do whatever they wanted in the Central Dynasty. It would be a matter of minutes for them to soar. Qin Feiyang looked at the origin energy, and his eyes were shining. He said, "Quickly give me the origin energy. I'll only let them go when I get it." "What if you don't let them go after I give you the origin energy?" The monarch snorted. "Why? You're the monarch. Are you afraid that I'll escape with them?" Qin Feiyang sneered. "What can't a person like you do?" The monarch sneered. "Fine. We'll exchange the money and the goods." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, rolled up Dong Xiaofeng and the other 10 people, and flew toward the monarch. The monarch also walked toward Qin Feiyang. Everyone present held their breaths as they watched the two of them. "What are you looking at? Do you want to die? What if a battle breaks out later? Can you survive? Get lost." Suddenly, a cold shout came from the crowd. The onlookers shuddered and hurriedly turned around and ran away. Qin Feiyang glanced around, and there was a trace of vigilance in his eyes. "Oh no. Will we alert the enemy?" The eyelids of the spies sent by the monarch twitched. They were actually very anxious. Why were there so many reckless people coming to join in the fun? If they didn't warn them, these people would definitely die tragically later. "Don't look. There's no ambush. If there was an ambush, Mu Qing's all-seeing eye would have discovered it." You wouldn't have come to aid Immortal Mountain now. The monarch said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded and continued to fly toward the monarch. Seeing this, the spies mixed in the crowd couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The monarch had a way. In a few words he dispelled the doubts in Qin Feiyang's heart. In fact, they didn't know. This was just a show. Finally Qin Feiyang and the monarch met. They stopped at the same time. There was only a distance of 2 or 3 meters between the two. For people at their level it was within reach. Get ready. The spies mixed in with the crowd began to gather their strength and wait for action. The spies sent here by the monarch were undoubtedly strong masters of the will of heaven. There was even a spy who followed the crowd and left aid Immortal Mountain. He took out a voice transmission stone and was ready to send a message to the monarch at any time. Brat, are you sure you can escape? The monarch asked. Senior, don't worry. We've already arranged it. A voice also sounded in the monarch's mind. Senior? The monarch was stunned, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. That's right. The Qin Feiyang in front of you is not the real Qin Feiyang, but a demon emperor in disguise. Now he is being controlled by my soul control technique. That is to say, I have been talking to you before. Long Chen's soul control technique could not only make the controller no different from ordinary people, but also control the other party's physical body and soul to communicate with others. In short, the soul control technique had the ability of enslavement seal and puppet technique at the same time. I see. The monarch suddenly understood and said secretly, so, you are Long Chen. Besides me, who else has the soul control technique? Long Chen laughed. Okay. The Divine King, the Monarch, and the Old Master are all in the Space Divine Object and will come out soon. Dong Hanzong and the others are on Emperor Capital Mountain, and they are all ready to go. You must not fight. Get the power of the origin and leave immediately. After the monarch said secretly, he loosened his hand and the power of the origin flew out of his hand. Qin Feiyang. No, the Sea Python Demon Emperor immediately jumped up and grabbed the power of the origin. Do it. Seeing this scene, the spies hidden in the dark finally came out. There were hundreds of them. The ultimate meaning, the will of the heavenly Tao, burst out. They were aggressive. Boom. At the same time, the Divine King Jizun Boss Ji and the others also came out of the Space Divine Object. In the nick of time, the Sea Python Demon Emperor roared and threw the power of the origin in his hand into the sky. Seeing this scene, hundreds of spies couldn't help but have a trace of doubt in their eyes. But the next moment, they couldn't help but be shocked. In the empty sky, a hand stretched out from the void. This hand grabbed the power of the origin, and then the power of the origin disappeared. As the power of the origin disappeared, 2 figures appeared in the sky. Looking at these 2 people, hundreds of spies were dumbfounded. What's going on? Why are there 2 Qin Feiyang? They looked at Qin Feiyang standing in front of the monarch, and then looked at Qin Feiyang standing in the sky. They are exactly the same. What's going on? Tell the monarch that I thank him for the power of the origin. And the monarch, the Divine King and Jizun wait for my wrath. High in the sky, Qin Feiyang sneered and activated the dual will of the heavenly Tao. In an instant, he took Long Chen and flew away without looking back. At the same time, Long Chen also activated his God's domain and merged with the heaven and earth. He controlled the power of the rules between heaven and earth and rushed toward the monarch and the hundreds of spies. Oh no, we've been fooled. Hundreds of spies finally reacted. With a roar, they were ready to chase after Qin Feiyang and the Sea Python. However, looking at the surging power of the rules, they couldn't help but dodge in horror. They could only watch as Qin Feiyang and the Sea Python arrogantly disappeared from their sight. Chapter 45-52. Are they leaving just like that? The hundreds of spies were all in a daze when they saw this scene. In such a short time, the other party disappeared in front of their eyes. That was too fast. It was so fast that they felt like they were dreaming. The monarch, the Divine King, the supremacy of the human race, Boss Ji, and the other elders were also stunned. Even though they knew that their plan would fail, they never imagined that it would fail so thoroughly. Those brats had obtained the source energy without any effort at all, and then slipped away. The monarch coughed and looked at the hundreds of spies anxiously. He shouted, if they don't leave, are they going to stay and drink tea with us? Hurry up and chase them. Chase? How can we catch up? The hundreds of spies smiled bitterly. The other party had mastered 2 wills of the Great Path and was far faster than them. If they chased these people, they wouldn't even be qualified to eat dust. Looking at the helpless expressions of the group of spies, the monarch couldn't help but laugh in his heart. He said, just go and chase them symbolically, lest Dong Hanzong comes later and says that you are passive and negligent. At that time, he will make you look bad in front of the emperor. That's true. The hundreds of spies quivered and immediately chased in the direction where Qin Feiyong disappeared. What a group of funny and cute people. The divine king shook his head and laughed. A wills of the Great Path expert was actually so afraid of Dong Hanzong. This shows that Dong Hanzong is indeed very prestigious in the Central Dynasty. The supremacy of the human race smiled and turned his head to look at the motionless sea python demon emperor. Obviously, the sea python demon emperor was already a pawn. He looked at Dong Xiaofeng and the other 10 people. He noticed that the 10 of them didn't move at all, not making a sound. Don't tell me they are also fake. Soon, a trace of surprise appeared in the supremacy of the human race's eyes. Fake? The monarch, the divine king, Boss G, and the others looked at the 10 people suspiciously. Who cares if they are fake or not? We just need to take them seriously. As for what happens after that, it has nothing to do with us. The monarch waved his hand. As soon as he said those words, space-time passageways began to appear in the sky. Powerful auras surged out from the tunnel. Qin Feiyong, today is your last day. Accompanied by wild laughter, Dong Hanzong was the first to rush out of the space-time tunnel, his face full of excitement. It was as if Qin Feiyong was already his meal. Dong Qingyuan followed closely behind. He was also in high spirits. However, when the 2 of them appeared and saw the peaceful 8 Immortal Mountain, they couldn't help but be stunned. What's going on? Logically speaking, shouldn't a battle have broken out here? But why was it so calm now? Very soon, they saw the sea python demon emperor Dong Xiaofeng, and the others standing in front of the monarch and the others. The sea python demon emperor still maintained the appearance of Qin Feiyong. Therefore, Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan thought that he was Qin Feiyong. Whoosh! The 2 of them immediately charged over in surprise. They thought that the monarch and the others were indeed powerful. They could suppress Qin Feiyong so easily. Qin Feiyong, you didn't expect to fall into my hands so soon, did you? Dong Hanzong rushed over and landed beside the monarch, staring at the sea python demon emperor and laughing. Looking at the arrogant and insufferably arrogant Dong Hanzong, the monarch and the others had an extremely strange expression. Was this person stupid? Although the sea python demon emperor now looked exactly like Qin Feiyong, there were obviously no injuries on his body, and they didn't use any aura to suppress him. Speaking bluntly, even a fool would know that in a situation where he was completely unharmed, how could he suppress Qin Feiyong? However, this person, he actually believed that the person in front of him was Qin Feiyong. It seemed that he was even worse than a fool. Whoosh! More and more people dared to come. There were the Death God Army, the Monster Kings of the Kuanping Sea region, and the Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain Range. There were also the powerhouses of the Will of Heaven from the top 10 families. And the patriarchs of the top 10 families also came to the scene in person. Qin Feiyong. Looking at the sea python demon emperor who had disguised himself as Qin Feiyong, all the people present were in high spirits. They finally caught this person. That moment, everyone stepped forward and surrounded the sea python demon emperor. Xiaofeng, Xiaoyuan, Mingho, Dong Liming, Dong Jinxiang, and the others were also ecstatic when they saw Dong Xiaofeng and the others. Ahem. The monarch coughed dryly and looked at Dong Hanzong. That, you shut up first. Without waiting for the monarch to speak, Dong Hanzong waved his hand and interrupted, staring at Qin Feiyong, and said with a sinister smile, "Let me take care of this person first." The monarch's mouth twitched slightly. Fine. You didn't let me say it. Don't blame me for not telling you later. Do whatever you want. Say something. What? Now that you're in our hands, you don't even have the courage to speak? Dong Hanzong looked at the silent sea python demon emperor and sneered. However, The sea python demon emperor had a look of ridicule on his face. What was a clown? This was it. Looking at the sea python demon emperor's eyes, Dong Hanzong frowned. He took a step forward and slapped the sea python demon emperor's face. The sea python demon emperor was sent flying with blood flowing from his mouth. What's going on? This doesn't seem to be Qin Feiyong's character. Sky Dragon, don't you think this is strange? Why is there only Qin Feiyong and not Golden-Winged Wolf King or Madman Mo? Kuan-Ping murmured. You noticed it too? Moreover, this Qin Feiyong is too weak. There wasn't even a single scar on his body before. It doesn't look like he was suppressed at all. The dragon god whispered. Hearing this, Kuan-Ping once again looked at the sea python demon emperor. Suddenly, when he saw the blood at the corner of the sea python demon emperor's mouth, his pupils immediately shrank as he roared. He is not Qin Feiyong. And this loud roar made everyone involuntarily stare blankly. That's right. He is indeed not Qin Feiyong, because Qin Feiyong has purple gold dragon blood, and this person's blood is the same as that of an ordinary person. Kuan-Ping also noticed this and hurriedly shouted, Blood! As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately looked at the blood that the sea python demon emperor spat out. It was indeed not purple gold dragon blood. Impossible! Dong Hanzong was also dumbfounded at first. When he came back to his senses, he turned to look at the king and roared, What's going on? He was a fake to begin with. The king said. Fake? Dong Hanzong muttered. He actually dared to be so arrogant in front of a fake Qin Feiyong for so long? Wasn't this a joke? Why didn't you say so earlier? Suddenly, he was burning with anger, full of resentment and anger, and vented it on the king. The king said indifferently, I wanted to tell you before, but you told me to shut up. What can I do? Heard it. Dong Hanzong's expression stiffened. It turned out that the king wanted to talk about this before. Then where is Qin Feiyong? Dong Qingyuan said in a deep voice. His joyful mood instantly vanished without a trace. They ran away. The people sent by His Majesty are chasing them. The king said. What? You actually let them run away? Dong Hanzong suddenly frowned, looking extremely ferocious. We have no choice, they are too cunning. The king shrugged helplessly. The dragon god glanced at Dong Hanzong, looked at the king and asked, What about the origin force? The origin force was also taken away by them. The king sighed. The dragon god was stunned. Kuan-Ping, the members of the death god army, the monster king, the beast king, and the people of the top 10 families were also stunned. They ran away. The origin force was also snatched away. Didn't this mean that the plan had failed? Fortunately, these little guys have been rescued. Mingho, hurry up and come home with me. The Ji family head looked at Ji Mingho and beckoned. Ji Mingho and the others were also acting very strangely, because when they saw their father coming, they didn't show the slightest excitement, nor did they show the joy of being rescued. But for this, the 10 family heads didn't suspect anything, because in their opinion, the 10 might have been frightened. But then they soon found that something was wrong. Because in the face of their shouts, Dong Zifeng and the others were indifferent. Xiaofeng, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Dong Liming walked quickly to Dong Xiaofeng, his face full of concern. The king and the others had been paying attention to Dong Xiaofeng and the others, and now they were sure that these 10 must be imposters. Xiaofeng, don't be afraid, father is here. Dong Liming walked to Dong Xiaofeng and kept comforting him. Even the king and the others didn't know that these 10 people were imposters before, let alone the 10 family heads who saw their children being rescued. Dong Xiaofeng finally reacted and raised his head to look at Dong Liming. Suddenly, Dong Xiaofeng grinned, and a destructive aura suddenly rushed out from his body. Xiaofeng! Dong Liming was shocked and furious. The next moment, before he could stop it, Dong Xiaofeng self-destructed in front of him. How could this be? Everyone activated their ultimate profound meaning to block the wave of self-destruction, their faces full of shock. However, before they could react, Ji Mingho and the others also raised their heads at the same time, looking at everyone with a grin, and then self-destructed one after another. Mingho! Young Master Yuan! Xiaosha! The 10 family heads were desperate to the extreme. What was going on? Why did these children self-destruct? The dragon god muttered. Could it be that they were controlled by the soul-controlling technique? Soul-controlling technique? The 10 family heads were stunned for a moment. Then they were furious and roared. It must be like this. Long Chan controlled them and made them self-destruct in front of us, letting us experience this feeling of despair. These people are too cruel, simply bastards. The king, the divine king Jizun, Boss Ji and the others were stunned. These people's imagination was too rich. Had no one thought that Dong Xiaofeng and the others were fake? Damn it! Who are you? Dong Hanzong came back to his senses with a monstrous anger. He rushed to the front of the Sea Python Demon Emperor, grabbed the Sea Python Demon Emperor's clothes and roared. Haha! Your exasperated expression is so beautiful, the Sea Python Demon Emperor said. You're courting death. Dong Hanzong's killing intent rose, took out a facial restoration pill, and stuffed it into the Sea Python Demon Emperor's mouth. It's you. Very quickly. Looking at the Sea Lion Demon King who had recovered his true appearance, Kuanping's face was full of disbelief. The remaining 2 chapters will be released at 11 o'clock. Chapter 45-53. Because Kuanping had always thought that the Sea Python Demon Emperor had died in the hands of Qin Feiyang. But he never expected that he would appear in front of him alive. And he even pretended to be Qin Feiyang and ruined the whole plan. You must be surprised. Suddenly, the voice of the Sea Python Demon Emperor changed. Long Chun. Dong Hanzong's eyes trembled. That's right. The voice of the Sea Python Demon Emperor was Long Chen's voice. Yes. The Sea Python Demon Emperor is under my control. I'm talking to you now. I have to admit that your plan is quite perfect. If it were someone else, they would definitely fall into your trap. But unfortunately, you met us. Long Chen laughed. Dong Hanzong clenched his hands and roared. Where are you and Qin Feiyang hiding? Come out and fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. This is a war between 2 worlds. Who will fight you one-on-one? You are an adult. Don't say such childish words all day. Finally, do you know why your plan failed? Because the person who carried out this plan was not smart enough. I don't know. Who came up with this plan? I don't know who carried out this plan. But I know that it must have nothing to do with you, Dong Hanzong. Because with your brain, you will never be able to come up with such a good plan. Long Chen laughed. Boom! As his voice fell, the body of the Sea Python Demon Emperor also exploded on the spot. The Sea Python Demon Emperor had long been deprived of its ultimate meaning. It didn't even have the cultivation of the sovereign realm, so its self-explosion naturally couldn't cause any harm to the people present. However, before the self-explosion, Long Chen's words made Kuanping, the Dragon God, the 10 Patriarchs, and the members of the Death God army look at Dong Hanzong. Because the person who carried out this plan was Dong Hanzong. Why are you looking at me? There must be something else going on here. Dong Hanzong roared. You are the one carrying out the plan. What else can there be? Kuanping frowned. Dong Hanzong looked flustered, but suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, It's impossible for them to notice such a meticulous plan. Someone must have tipped them off. Leak information? Kuanping was stunned. That's right. That must be it. Who? Who's tipping them off? Stand out with me. Dong Hanzong swept his gaze over everyone present and roared in anger. Whoosh! At this moment, hundreds of spies returned one after another. How is it? The dragon god looked at them and asked. Too fast. Qin Feiyang has 2 wills of the heavenly Tao. We can't catch up at all. A group of spies shook their heads. Sigh. The dragon god sighed. Why were these little fellows so difficult to deal with? And where did this problem come from? Could it be that there was really a spy who tipped off Qin Feiyang and the others? Stand out consciously. As long as you confess, I can still consider giving you a way out. But if you're stubborn and I find out who it is, then only death awaits you. Dong Hanzong's face was gloomy. He knew the consequences of the plan failing. So he must find a scapegoat. Dong Hanzong, I don't care if there's a spy or not. Today you must give us an explanation. That's right. Our children died because of you. If you don't give us a satisfactory explanation, Then don't blame us for being impolite. The 10 patriarchs spoke one after another, staring at Dong Hanzong angrily. What do you mean they died because of me? It was Long Chun who controlled them to self-destruct. Dong Hanzong said angrily. Yes, it was indeed Long Chun who controlled them to self-destruct. But this is also because your ability to execute is not good enough. If your ability is not good enough, don't try to show off. If it was Lu Yunfeng, this would definitely not happen. The 10 patriarchs roared. The sovereign divine weapons lurking in their bodies began to stir. Everyone, don't be impulsive. Dong Qingyun saw the situation was bad and quickly stood out to smooth things over. Shut your mouth. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? Why are you telling us what to do again and again? Let me tell you, you can't escape the blame for this. The 10 patriarchs gloomily looked at Dong Qingyun. Dong Qingyuan's expression froze. Then, the anger in his heart couldn't be controlled. Aren't you relying on the 10 direct descendants? Why are you so arrogant? Without this identity, you're nothing. Are you done quarreling? Suddenly, a low and angry voice sounded. Your Majesty! The crowd was startled. They quickly turned around and saw 5 figures standing in the air behind them. It was the Emperor Ji Sui, Moon Fairy Princess Lu Jejin, and the inner demons. Your Majesty, when did you arrive? Dong Hanzong asked in fear. The inner demons sneered. When you said there were spies, we were already here. Seeing you quarreling so loudly, we didn't want to disturb you. Dong Hanzong's eyes trembled. He quickly ran to the emperor and knelt in the void. Your Majesty, let me explain. Shut up. The plan has failed. What's there to explain? The inner demons sneered. You. Dong Hanzong glared at the inner demons. He wanted to say something, but suddenly, he frowned and looked at the inner demons and Lu Jejin. What? Still want to bite? Heart Demon pursed her lips into a sneer. It's you. Dong Hanzong suddenly jumped up and pointed at the inner demons and Lu Jejin. Everyone looked at Dong Hanzong in shock. What did he mean? Yes. It's you. You're the one who tipped off Qin Feiyang. Dong Hanzong gloomily said. Everyone was stunned. Was this Dong Hanzong crazy? Biting whoever he saw? This kind of groundless guess was enough to just think about it. How could he say it out loud? If you say that we tipped off the plan, then there must be a reason. Then what's the reason? Lu Jejin regained his senses and looked at Dong Hanzong. Because you hate me for snatching the right to execute this plan. You want to use this opportunity to kill me. Dong Hanzong roared. Lu Jejin was stunned and smiled. Now that I think about it, it does make sense. Admit it. Dong Hanzong sneered and looked at the emperor. Your Majesty, they have admitted it. Please quickly give the order to kill these 2 traitors. Idiot. The inner demon shook his head. Which ear heard them admit it? A cornered dog jumping over the wall is a natural reaction. But they can't be so stupid. Stop talking nonsense. Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng have been with me all this time. How could they have tipped off Qin Feiyang? Princess Yuxian coldly snorted. Her eyes filled with disgust. What? Dong Hanzong's expression froze, and he said in disbelief, They have been with you all this time. What are you doing together? Why do you care? Who do you think you are? Do I need to report to you? Princess Yuxian said angrily. He actually spoke to her with a questioning tone. Did he really think he was someone important? No. There must be something wrong. Dong Hanzong shook his head. All of a sudden, he looked at the king and the others and said in a deep voice, Could it be you all? Us? The king and the others were stunned. Ji Lauer shouted, This old man has always been a civilized person, but today I can't help it. Are you a fucking dog? Biting anyone you see? Qin Feiyang is your descendant. You must have betrayed the divine kingdom long ago and joined forces with Qin Feiyang. That's why they know our plan. Dong Hanzong roared crazily. Is that so? Then you have to ask His Majesty. Because His Majesty has been sending people to monitor us all this time. His Majesty should know whether we have leaked information or not. The divine king sneered. Monitor? Dong Hanzong was stunned and quickly looked at the emperor. The emperor looked a little embarrassed. He didn't expect that the king and the others had already noticed. That's right. From the moment the king and the others left the imperial palace, he had sent people to monitor the king and the others. Even when they came to the Eight Immortal Mountain, these people were still there. And these people who were monitoring them were among the hundreds of spies. If it's not Lu Yunfeng or the king, then who is it? Who wants to harm me so much? Dong Hanzong roared. At this moment, not only the people of the 10 lineal families, but also the members of the Death God army looked at him with disgust in their hearts. A real man should dare to take responsibility for his actions. He shouldn't keep shirking his responsibility whenever he encountered a problem. Lu Jejin smiled faintly and looked at Dong Hanzong, saying, "There is indeed a problem, but I think it should be your problem." "My problem? What problem can I have? I've been following your plan step by step." "If there is a problem, it's your plan that has a problem," Dong Hanzong said angrily. "Dong Hanzong, don't talk nonsense." Long Chan said that the plan is perfect. Kuanpeng said, "Who asked you to talk nonsense?" Dong Hanzong glared at Kuanpeng angrily. Kuanpeng raised his eyebrows. How dare he talk to him like that? No matter what, he was still a senior. And he didn't have such an attitude before. As expected, once a person was driven crazy, his nature would be revealed. And this was Dong Hanzong's nature. He was arrogant, conceited, and looked down on everyone. "Yes, this is your problem. I want to ask, did you confirm Qin Feiyang's identity in advance?" Lu Jijin said lightly. "Confirm Qin Feiyang's identity?" Dong Hanzong muttered. He looked up at Lu Jijin and said angrily, "The person who made the deal with Qin Feiyang was the Lord. I was still on Imperial Capital Mountain. How could I confirm it? The Lord should be the one to confirm it." "So you didn't confirm it. Let me ask again, did you confirm the identity of Dong Xiaofeng and the other 10 people?" Lu Jijin said. "Is there something wrong with your ears? I've said before, I was on Imperial Capital Mountain before the deal." Dong Hanzong roared. "I know you're on Imperial Capital Mountain, but you're the executor of this plan. Didn't you think of these problems? You've dealt with Qin Feiyang and the others, and you know that they are very cunning people. Shouldn't you think more about it to prevent these problems?" Lu Jijin asked aggressively. Dong Hanzong was speechless for a moment. Indeed, he didn't think of these possibilities at all. You're tuning into the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.